in the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you. In the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you.
Over the edge, feel like I'm floating through the air. The pain I felt is paid for, all is said and done. Oh, I am restricted, fixed upon the web. I need to kick the habit that my mind is breathing in. Break out, I've got to see. Spent all my life holding all of it closely. I played it innocent, a feel of discontent. I'm finally facing it all, fearless. Burning the bridge that keeps us. I'm here and I'm feeling fearless. Exaggerated, that's what you assume. The story's over now, I must conclude. I am conflicted, watching where I step still, hanging in the balance. Not the life I want to live, I want to take it all. Standing tall, fear outweighed the person you are. Oh, break out, I've got to see. Spent all my life holding all of it closely. I played it in a sense, a feel of discontent. I'm finally facing it all, fearless.
Sure, I couldn't agree that we were meant to be.
eyes in the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the latest Elite FPL podcast with me, Steve-O. It's those special edition ones. It's for you guys in the Southern Hemisphere. Let's be honest here, we're predominantly talking guys in New Zealand and Australia. Ironically, most people are English, but yes, it's the day before game week 1 starts tomorrow evening. Don't ask me to do the maths of exactly how long we've got, but what is it? It'll be 24, 30, 36 hours, 37 hours at this precise moment we've got until we have to finalise our teams. We've got to sort everything out. Yeah, very, very exciting. I want to get calls from you guys. I want to find out how excited you are, what you guys are looking forward to next season. We're kind of bringing the prediction aspect that we did last night over to the other side of the world to you guys. But the topic I want to kick off about really is to add to last night's predictions, which is whatever team you support, which 3 players would you recommend somebody for their fantasy football team if you had to pick 3? So I'll kick off. I'm a Burnley fan. And I would recommend Nick Pope, Dwight McNeil and Chris Wood. They're the 3 that I would choose. So it'd be interesting to hear your thoughts on the players that you would choose from your respective clubs that you support. But last night myself and Jason did our predictions for the season ahead. I think we got the idea that the majority of you are basically going with Man City to win it and Newcastle to be relegated. And Norwich, of course. But as you can see, a complete brand new setup. Now the camera is over to my left hand side, so it's not directly in front of me. But all new HD. Thank you to Jason for sending me his camera. There's a bit of lighting as well. All brand new for the season ahead. And tonight, I don't know when we're going live tonight, but certainly at some point this evening, myself and Jason will be doing our Game Week 1 preview, and that will be officially our first episode of the season, and that's when the games begin. That's when you guys can take whatever you want away from our predictions. Obviously, we'll be playing along with Tap Sport. Jason will be able to go into more detail later on about that regarding the predictor game that we're not specifically in association with, but someone that's kind of partnered up with us and said, you know what, we're giving you a special code for all your listeners if they're willing to join in. So we'll be getting part of that. Another idea that I've come up with for Jason is that when we are doing our predictions, we're going to get one of you guys on live to go through the predictions, and each week we'll get on a different caller predicting the games, and then we'll find out who is the best predictor of the season. Is it myself? Is it Jason? Is it the history? Or is it you guys that can predict the outcome of games? And not only that, but the correct scores. That's the main thing. But we'll go into detail about that all tonight. But we like I said, this is a special Southern Hemisphere season predictor podcast. I want to hear your thoughts ahead of the season ahead. Obviously I am interested in the top 4 and everything, but I'm more interested about the team that you support and where you see you moving forward and everything. Also, I'm hoping today that there will be no Wi-Fi issues or any cutting out or whatnot. I was a bit disappointed that happened the other day. I don't know why, but we've reset the router. Last night was a bit of a disaster if people were tuned in live last night, but basically after the stream, Jason went through a few things and he found out why there were issues. So it's just a few technical issues that have now hopefully been sorted. Yeah, like I said, it's over to you guys, and I'm going to go straight in the chat. I'm going to find out who is live with us, and we can talk all things. And the best thing is, now because I'm using that webcam, I can actually use the laptop a bit better now in front of me. Right then, here we go. Ramsey Sinclair, good morning to you. He cannot be bothered with work today. You're a sous chef now. You've got to be bothered. Nasty Balls, good morning. Ryan Seasham, well, I know you were here last night. Welcome to the second live stream in, what was it? We finished at 10:30 last night. So, yeah, about, 8 hours ago? Whatever. Whatever the maths is there. Karen Warcliffe, good morning to you, aka FPL Kid on Instagram there. It's 6:48, well it was back then, but you can't miss an Elite FPL stream. Thank you for that comment there. Keyboy, good morning to you. We'll get you live on air talking next season. I'm going to alliterate this point. I don't really want to be doing any Rate My Teams. I'm not interested in doing Rate My Teams. We'll do all that tomorrow maybe, but then again, if you are having some real dilemmas, I suppose I may go through it. But I'm more really looking for predictions ahead of the season. I want to change up the conversation a bit. There's only so many times I can say Kevin De Bruyne is a good pick. Anyway. Vishwa. Now, I know for a fact you were here last night. Welcome back. Resi Dezel, good morning to you. Arman Hader. It's 1:50 a.m. here. I'll be interested to know where you are. Notorious Nerd, yeah, talking about last minute tinkering. Of course it is, of course it is. And of course, Notorious Nerd making a very good point here. It's transfer deadline day. Wonder what will happen by, I think it's 5 o'clock this evening it closes. So actually, tonight's stream, not only are we going to be previewing Gameweek 1, we can go over the transfers that have actually gone through. That's going to be fascinating. Resi Dezel saying of course he's buzzing for the start of the season. Couldn't agree more. Aussie Boy saying he'd be able to join me for 20-30 minutes. Do you know what? We'll get him on in about 2 seconds. Ray Joyce, good morning to you. Evening lads, or in Steve-O's case, yep, it's morning. It's 7:07 a.m. But who cares? Matt Brunton just got back from work, meant to go to the gym, but now this pops up. To gym or not to gym, that is the question. Well, he's saying that the internet catch in the gym is always terrible and he always loses signal. Yeah, join the club for where I go. Ray Joyce making a very amusing point there about Jason's kind of mini dare, I suppose, the FPL dare. Saying that he did say, and he was denying it, but he did come out with a lot of people in the chat were basically backing everybody up, and he did say that he would possibly triple captain Kane if we hit 1500 subscribers by tomorrow's deadline. Ooh, we're just over 1300. I think it's like 1309, something like that. I don't think we're going to make it. But who knows? Who knows? If we get tweeting out there, triple captain Kane, get it all clickbaiting and everything, you never know. You never know. Gianpaolo there, good morning. Excited but nervous about your team. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Ben Wheatcroft, welcome to the stream. Thought I had my team nailed, but I'm up early and still tinkering. Don't worry about it. I think most people's teams are pretty much sorted now. I'm still debating over a couple of players. Just to let you know, the team up on screen now is your team. Your community, Elite FPL community team that you all guys voted for. And yep, tonight, remember tonight, we will be voting on who your captain pick will be. So we'll get that vote up in the poll on Discord. And thank you for everybody that participated in our predictor polls yesterday evening. You could probably still go into the Discord and vote on those polls per se. But I know for a fact on Twitter that's all finished, because I only put them up for like a few hours and that's it, done. And Matt Brunton making the point. Every year I always drink on deadline day in the first game of the season. Well, it's deadline day today, and of course tomorrow is that first game. I don't think you'll be able to remember any of this. Shano83 started another stream for the Southerners. Yep, this is all for you guys. I'm not really interested in me. I'm more interested in hearing your thoughts. Gotham, welcome. Good morning to you. And what's this from Gianpaolo? Oh, here we go. Here we go. Tottenham have agreed a deal to sign Ryan Sessegnon. We understand the fee to be initially 25 million, rising to 30 million, with Josh Unuma moving the other way. So there we are. Will Ryan Sessegnon be an option next season? If he came in at, what, 5.5 like all the Tottenham players, would he get into that Tottenham team? And if so, would he be an option at 5.5? Came in at that ridiculous price of 6.5 last season. I think 5.5 would be an interesting pick, apart, especially the fact that there's rumours of Kyle Walker-Peters maybe leaving. Good morning, Brett Mollison. Busy with work, but we'll be listening in. Good lad. Thank you for the support as ever. Thank you so much. Rad Robbie, just finished watching last night's live stream, the season predictor stream, and now it's a live stream again. Absolutely. Good morning, Emilian. And then we've got our the guys who, whatever team they support, which 3 players they would choose from. We'll get to that in a minute. What I'm going to do is, I believe that Aussie Boy is in that Discord. I'm going to get... no, he's not. I thought Aussie Boy may be in the waiting room. He's not. We have got... Well, I'm going to bring him on deliberately because Monkey Blast, it's going to be something like 1:45 in the morning in America. So I'm going to bring on Monkey Blast. He's only been in the Discord for about 5 minutes. And I mean that across the last 3 days. He's been part of this almost like an ever-present for the Elite FPL podcast. And we can get him live on now, all the way from America. So Monkey Blast, yeah, you've just unmuted your mic. Everybody's learning that now. I'm muting the mic. If you want to come live on air, all you've got to do is get on that Discord group, hit that waiting room, and away you go. And do you know what? I'm going to bring on Phil as well. So I'm going to bring on 2 people straight away. I'm going to coordinate the conversation. So we'll bring on both Monkey Blast and Phil straight away. Monkey Blast, good early morning to you.
Hello, Steve-O. How are you doing?
Hello, good morning to you. What time's it over there in America right now? 10 to 2?
It's just past midnight.
Oh, that's okay. No.
It's not too bad.
You've only just been on air with our last stream about 6-7 hours ago. Welcome back, my friend. We'll bring on Phil. Phil, good morning to you.
Morning, Steve.
Good. Oh, good, my friend. Have you only just finished watching the live stream from last night?
Yeah, I have as it goes, not long ago.
Yeah, it was a great conversation, though.
Yes, it was crazy. So I'm going to start with you, Phil, because with Monkey, he was on last night, and I want to get a few different thoughts, Phil. But straight away, I'll ask you the question: which team do you support, and which 3 players of that said team would you recommend to an FPL manager?
Well, I'm a United fan, and I'd probably go with the 3 what Jason just put in chat a minute ago. Would be Wan-Bissaka. I think Rashford could have a 15-20 goal season, so he'd be there. And then the 3rd one, I'll take a punt on James.
15 to 20 goal a season for Rashford. Is that because now Lukaku's gone? Virtually.
Yeah, I think so. I think Rashford should be pretty much the main striker now. So I think he's got a good chance. If he's on the pitch, he can break fast.
Monkey, you're a United fan. Do you agree with Phil that Rashford could be a 15 to 20 goal player this season?
I personally don't think he'll hit more than 15. 15 would be ambitious, and you're talking just in the league alone, correct? Because if you said all competitions, then maybe. But if it's just the league alone, 15 is quite a bit of a high total. Because I expect Kane to be hitting about 20, and if we're saying Rashford's hitting about 15, he's in my team.
What,
Yeah, how many did he get last season?
I think it was something like 6 or 7.
He got 10 last season.
He got 10, did he? And is that in the Premier League?
Yes, Premier League alone.
Right, okay. So, do you want to clarify that thought process, Phil? Do you mean across all competitions, or do you mean the Premier League alone?
Just with the Premier League this season, without Lukaku, I think Rashford is the main striker. He can get 15 goals with that. With the players behind him, yeah.
Okay.
Wan-Bissaka needs to get 15 goals this season.
I'll ask you both this question. I'll start with you, Phil, first. Rashford, he's 8.5. If you have Wilson in your team, like I do, would you recommend to somebody like myself to get in Rashford for that 0.5 more?
Yeah. Because I would guess that with Wilson, you're going to get rid of him after game week 3 in some sort of move to bring Son into your team. So if you can have Rashford now and hold him for maybe the first 6-7 weeks, I think he can get. Are those his fixtures coming up on the screen there? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. He could score against Chelsea, Wolves, Palace, double against Palace, double against Southampton. He could be on 6 or 7 within 5 games.
And your thoughts on that, Monkey Blast? Is Rashford worth that 0.5 more than Callum Wilson if you own Callum Wilson?
No. For me, it's the complete opposite. Definitely not. I think Callum Wilson's fixtures, I understand the game week 3 against Manchester City game, but if you look after that, it's almost all green for the next 4 game weeks. And I just think Bournemouth are just more attacking. I think they're going to concede more goals this season, which means they're going to have to put more of an emphasis in terms of their attacking. Rashford and Martial, I have a feeling, will share that striker spot throughout the season because I don't think Rashford's going to be firing on all cylinders the entire time. So I wouldn't say he's going to play up top the entire season. But with that extra 0.5 million, that could be the difference between converting Fraser to Sigurdsson later on in the season or Van Dijk to Robertson at some point. That 0.5 million can go a long way.
Well, I've actually got a 0.5 million situation at the moment. I've got the odd 0.5 and I can't decide whether to stay with Perez or upgrade him to Maddison or use the 0.5 to upgrade Heaton to Schmeichel.
Oh, Phil, that is an impossible question. I wouldn't upgrade Perez to Tillem's Maddison.
Perez.
I'd keep Perez. The 0.5 to upgrade Heaton to Schmeichel. No, I wouldn't do that either. I would. Do you know what? I'd keep that 0.5. I really would. I'd actually keep that 0.5 for future transfers because you never know when you're going to need it. I mentioned this to Dereco. He had 1.5 in the bank and me and Jason were perplexed. Like, why on earth would you have that amount of money? I can understand 1 million at most. 0.5 for definite, but I think keeping 0.5 is a good. I mean, some people in chat now. So that's obviously Jason's there saying about Wan-Bissaka, Pogba and Rashford. What are your thoughts on De Gea, Monkey Blast?
I was actually thinking De Gea, because those were my 3 people that I put up. Wan-Bissaka, De Gea, and I put Rashford, but then thinking about it, I think Pogba might be a better asset. But I think De Gea is definitely somebody to consider once you see United play a few games. You obviously know he's known for his spectacular saves and just the sheer number of saves that he gets, just because United's defense is the best. Now, with Wan-Bissaka and Maguire added on, I'd expect the defense to improve automatically, which means those shots are going to either reduce or generate themselves in a better way, i.e. outside the box or something like that. So I think De Gea's save percentage and points off of the saves might go down, but I think he's going to compensate more than enough with his clean sheets. He got 7 last year, and prior to that, he's had 10 plus comfortably. So I think there's going to be an increase in Man United clean sheets. So it's definitely a possibility. He's priced the same as Wan-Bissaka. So Wan-Bissaka, I think, is going to get those bonus points for those tackles. But I think De Gea has a possibility to get bonus points for the saves.
Yeah, Phil, I mean, I've got a question for you. So your dilemma is about to maybe upgrade with 0.5 to Maddison from Perez or whatever. But my dilemma is a slightly different one. I actually asked Davey FPL on his stream, a friend of the show, if what would he would do. So my dilemma is this. Do I have De Gea in goal and a 4.5 defender? Or do I go with a 4.5 goalkeeper like Pope and go with Wan-Bissaka? What would you go with?
What 4.5 defender would you consider?
I mean, it could be anybody. There is one player that I was thinking of. This Montoya of Brighton. Apparently, he's done really well in the pre-season. An attacking right back looks like he could be out of position as well. So I'm thinking, yeah, maybe him.
What was it?
I've actually put Montoya in my team. The only thing I'd say going forward is looking at his fixtures. There's maybe 3 of the 5 home games that you might feature him in, but no, I don't think I'll go De Gea there.
No, and what about you, Monkey Blast? Do you think that it'd be better having Wan-Bissaka ahead of De Gea if it means not kind of affecting the defence basically with a weaker player?
For me, it all depends on the time. If you're looking for a short-term fix, then potentially a more expensive defender would work for the time being. I think if you might have plans on wildcarding after game week 4, better fixtures and different players, then I think that's the factor that comes into play. I think De Gea, over the course of the season, is going to get about 150 points, give or take. And same with the defender. So I think if you can tailor it towards the fixtures, that might help your decision a little bit more. But I think Wan-Bissaka over the season should be good. I don't like the fixtures personally, the starting fixtures, even though there are a lot of 3s and 2s. A lot of those are 50-50 games, and we've conceded to all of them last season, so I don't know.
Steve, is that your current team on the screen?
No, that's the Elite FPL community. Your team is the Elite FPL community one that you guys voted for.
One keeper you could put, I don't know if you're going to think of going Zuma in your team, but instead of De Gea, you could go Kepa.
Interestingly enough, we were speaking about Zuma last night. I forget who it was. I think it may potentially have been G-Wiz. I can't remember now. But we asked the question. In fact, I'll ask you in a second, Phil. But we asked the question, who do you think's underpriced this year? And Kurt Zuma's name came up. And I was thinking, you know what? Kurt Zuma at 5 million. If I knew he was guaranteed to start, I'd have him like a shot ahead of Wan-Bissaka, and then I'd upgrade. My goalkeeper to, well, it'd have to be Leno of Arsenal, possibly. But I don't know, I'd have to play around with it. Or even Fabianski, I was banging on about at the start of the season. But Kurt Zuma, yeah, what are your thoughts on Kurt Zuma, Monkey Blast?
I think he had a decent season last season with Everton. From the minutes played, it says 2,600. That's pretty good. And I think he should be starting over Christensen. If I'm not mistaken. But I have no idea what Frank Lampard has in mind. I think he has one of the highest minutes played for Chelsea in the preseason. So I think he should start, but I still want to watch Chelsea in these first 2 games before I decide to go with any players, because they could be absolutely shambolic and we might change our minds in 2 weeks in.
Yeah, Phil, do you have any thoughts on underpriced FPL assets this season which could actually do really well? I mean, I'll give you some examples here.
I think Perez could be maybe 7.5. I think he could be a mil under. I can't really think other than that at the moment.
Well, I'll tell you who I went with. I went with Van Dijk, Aubameyang, Lacazette, Jota and Jimenez.
Jimenez, I don't think Jimenez is going to have a great season in the Premier League. I think Wolves. I think the Europe situation is really going to affect Wolves.
In what way? Because that was one of the questions we asked last night. How will the Europa League affect
just fatigue? Like, is it? I think is it right? 6,000 mile round trip was their last journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, on a Thursday night and then to have to come back and play on a Sunday. doing that. Is it? And it's 8. How many games is it in Europa League? 8 or 19? I ain't sure how the setup works, but there's just so much travelling in that competition. It's unreal.
Yeah, yeah. Go on, Monkey.
So for me, it all really depends on how far they go in Europe, because even if they do have a lot of travel time in the beginning of the season, if they get knocked out in the group stage, they're set up for the rest of the season to be fit and play as they did last time. So I think that's another case of wait and see how their qualification process goes. If they get knocked out, I can see why you say Jimenez is a little bit underpriced. He's less than Wilson, but I don't know. Especially with our last season biases, I suppose he doesn't strike me as a cheaper option this year.
Phil, just a quick question for you as a United fan. How do you think United are actually going to get on overall next season? Are they going to get into that top 4? Will they just miss out?
Yeah, I think they'll be top 3. I think the first place is Man City or Liverpool. So I think
you think you're going to overtake Tottenham? Do you?
I hope so. I can hope. If I want to really, really hope, then I'd say we win the league, but I'll take 3rd. Like Jason was saying last night, if we can knock up Champions League football next year, maybe bag the FA Cup.
Wow, that's an interesting. What are your thoughts on that instantly, Monkey Blaster? Phil thinking that you could get 3rd.
That's very optimistic. I mean, if you think about it, this Spurs finished 4th last season, right? And that was without Kane. That was with going to the Champions League final. And I personally don't think Spurs are going to push that hard in Champions League this year. So that means they have more time to focus on the league. So I think it'd be a real statement if we finish 3rd. I think it'd be a fight for 4th place. We might have the edge over Arsenal just because our defense would be better. I can see Arsenal leaking goals, but scoring them as well. So Chelsea's just going to be that wild card. Either they finish 4th between United and Arsenal.
One final question for you, Phil. What are you most looking forward to this season ahead of game week 1?
I'm part of the head-to-head league.
Good.
I'm part of the Cash League. I'm part of the Discord. I subscribe to your channel. There's four of the best reasons to be playing FPL at the moment.
Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm going to be a different animal next year. I'm not going to. If you, for example, I don't know, Captain Perez versus Manchester United as a simple example, as Manchester United as a simple example, and the previous show I've said that the history suggests that this is going to be a tight game, blah 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 blah, and then you for some reason Captain Perez and you're like my rival, I am going to be spitting with rage. You're not going to like me. You're going to hate me.
I just don't want to be the person that's rock bottom at game week 1 because that person is just going to get a shower of abuse for the whole week on that person.
And again, another thing that's going to be fascinating is that we've got less than 36 hours left to go, and of course after that deadline, everybody's team is locked. You cannot change it anymore.
Yeah. Well, literally, other than that 0.5 million decision I've got, I'm pretty much locked. I've took a gamble on a striker as well.
Oh, tomorrow evening is going to be fascinating because we are going to be going live throughout the Liverpool game, and I'm going to be deliberately making a point of going through the majority of teams in that Cash Mini League and rating them out of 15, and I'm going to be fascinated to see what it all looks like.
Well, my team's there. Vardy decisions, he's there.
Right.
That's your team. Okay.
Brilliant, Phil. Cheers for joining us this morning.
No, mate, you take care.
Cheers, dude. Bye.
Bye.
Monkey Blast, are you willing to stay on for the foreseeable future?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked me.
There we are. Well, we're going to bring on the other co-host we had on the other day. It feels like deja vu, but Aussie Boy, he can join us for 25 minutes or so. So Aussie Boy, make sure you unmute your mic. And he's a Liverpool fan, as we all know. So Aussie Boy, you're live on the Elite FPL call-in this morning. Good morning, Aussie.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very well indeed. Have you, just of pure interest, have you managed to watch the stream last night? I know you came in towards the end of it. Have you watched the majority of it just for the idea of predictions of what people have done?
I watched a little bit of it, but I haven't had time to watch all of it. No,
The,
I
the,
haven't. But
the,
I watched half an hour or so, I guess.
to paraphrase it, the majority of people are going with Man City to win the league, Norwich and Newcastle and Sheffield United to be relegated. I want to ask you the question, really. You're a Liverpool fan, we know that. Which three Liverpool players would you recommend to any FPL manager to own this season, or game week 1, certainly?
So definitely Salah. I think, mate, top scorer 2 years in a row. Can't look past him. Then I think Robertson. He's my personal favourite player, just anyway. I think he's nailed on. Roberto Moreno, he's terrible, so he can just leave anyway. I don't even know why we still have him. And then, he's completely nailed. And he's really good at running up the pitch. He's a great defender as well. Then, I don't want to just go with Trent, but I'd probably say someone sneaky, I think, could be maybe, if you're really trying to go really differential, maybe Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain or someone. He's quite a great attacking threat, I feel like, when he plays, and he's really good. And if he can nail that starting spot down, then the Ox could be in. He's quite cheap, but that's very, very, very differential. You wouldn't look at him to start, though. So to start, I'd say someone like Virgil or Trent, to be honest.
I predicted this season that Liverpool will win the title. I think that Jurgen Klopp is somebody that seems to learn from past seasons, certainly the season before, and I think this season he will take. I think this season he's going to take the Premier League a lot more seriously, and I think that rather than resting players against, I don't know, teams like Norwich, Sheffield United, etc., even though the 99% of the time they'd come through, there was the odd game that they drew which they should have won, for example, and it cost them a couple of points. So how do you think Liverpool are going to get on next season? Do you think they'll win it?
I'm obviously hoping we'll win it. I think 30 years, I think I said that last time, but 30 years, it's been too long. So, we'll put all our effort into the Premier League. I think we won't take the Champions League as seriously this year as we've won it last year. So now I think just every Liverpool fan, I think, can agree we just want the title really the most out of any prize. So we'll probably put all our energy into that, and I hope that turns out well. But I think we've definitely got. I think we could definitely win. So
I just want to make a special hello to Paul Wickett. Good morning to you. But Dino Bino, he's been on the show before, and oi, he's on a cruise ship in Italy at the moment.
Wow.
There we are. Good. I'd like to know where you are specifically in Italy, because I actually work with an Italian, so I wouldn't mind messaging about this. People may have noticed me waving on the stream just now. I'll do it again. That's for you, Cy Bellamy. Good morning to you. Gee whiz, just making the point there. One more sleep to go. Absolutely, my friend. Jason paying me a quick compliment there, saying that the stream is looking great, and I hope. In fact, I'd like to hear a few comments in the chat. Actually, what you're thinking of the stream now. It's the first Steve-O solo stream that I'm doing with the whole new setup. The camera isn't over there now; it's directly in front of me. So brilliant. Youssef here we go. There we are, back again. Right, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't want the stream to be cutting off, so I'm kind of keeping my eye on that indicator. It's been fine so far for the first 45 minutes. I'm wondering if it's because I go on too long. Who knows? But whatever. Youssef good morning to you. Guys, I'll ask you, Monkey, first. He says he's starting with Calvert-Lewin this season for the first 2 game weeks. What are your instant thoughts on that?
I don't know. I think the general consensus on Everton has been from the preseason at least that their attack hasn't kicked into gear so far. Now, whether that is just them taking it easy in preseason or whether now they have time to get everything sorted out, I just don't think Calvert-Lewin. I mean, even when he played all those minutes last season, I think he didn't even accumulate that many points. So if you wanted to go with an Everton attacking option, I think Richarlison might be a better option. Even though Moise Keane has just been signed, he obviously has not been with the team for long. So I think Richarlison is going to have the added attacking impetus to go out and help Everton score more goals. And so I think he might be a better option. Sigurdsson might be safe, on set pieces and free kicks. But Calvert-Lewin, he hasn't convinced me last season, let alone preseason.
And a question for you, Aussie boy. So
Yeah.
it looks like Ryan Sessegnon and, we know for a fact that Tierney is coming to Arsenal and Ryan Sessegnon to Tottenham. What do you think a fair price would be for those two individual players?
I don't know. Well, probably I can just see him going around 5 to 5.5, maybe even 6. Probably around that.
Which one's that, Ryan or Tierney?
I think Sessegnon will be more. I think he'll be around 6, 5.5.
Wow, yeah, I agree. I think 5.5 is a good stream. Good morning, Vince Chapman. There, yep. Well, we've got 2 streams before kick-off tomorrow. We've got now, and then we've got our first official episode this evening. It's our Game Week 1 preview. Our friend in Alex Velo, who is virtually going to be doing all our thumbnails, excellent graphic designer. Hopefully he will have something special for you guys to be looking at before we go live. Good morning, FPL, pitch there. Welcome to the morning stream. Alexander Sorving is saying that he loves to have money in the bank. Monkey Blast, what are your thoughts on we've already discussed with Phil, but what are your overall thoughts of having money in the bank, especially when it comes to Game Week 1?
I don't know how he's had it, how he's set up his team, but for me at the start of the season, only 100 million team value added on. I feel like every single $500,000 matters to me. And I've utilized everything, and I'd love an extra 5 million to make everything work. But having money, I mean, if it works for him and he's happy with his team, I'm sure it'll work. But for me, until my team can start accumulating value and then use that wild card to then maybe have some value, but get the players that I want, I'm using every penny that I have.
As a United fan, someone called Tanmay Kate is mentioning Luke Shaw. I don't think I've ever seen him in one draft. What are your thoughts on Luke Shaw this season as a fantasy football asset?
I think he's going to get more attacking returns than Wan-Bissaka. I think that's guaranteed. During the preseason, I haven't seen Wan-Bissaka hit more than 2 crosses in the entire preseason. So I don't think Bissaka is going to get any attacking returns other than the odd ones. But Shaw definitely likes to bomb forward, and I think the left side might be the more attacking one with Martial and Shaw, and then the right side would be more kind of like covering in case the other team goes on counterattack and we need one man back. So Shaw might be an interesting choice. I think it's the safer one is Wan-Bissaka for the same price, if I'm not mistaken. But as we know, last season Shaw was really good. He accumulated 2 clean sheets and an assist last season. And got about 15 points real quick. But obviously he got overshadowed by Mendy. So I'm excited to see what we can do. From the left back sense.
Yeah.
Devo.
Hello.
I've just been thinking about something. Since the Liverpool game's gonna be on 5 a.m. Like in Saturday morning, I've been thinking, what happens if someone pulls up sore to a game and then I'm not notified, and then I wake up and next thing I know I look at my team and then there's like someone who's just not playing. I'm so worried about it.
Who?
I've just been thinking. Would you be worried about something like that if because I'd probably go to bed around 10 or 10:30 and then wake up at 5.
I
And
think
so then
I think
and then there might be time in between.
I think if there was any serious issues with any players, I think that we would know about it now. I think that Liverpool will have a fully fit squad. I think the only
Yeah.
player off the top of my head, it's not Liverpool, but the only player off the top of my head which I think is a concern is Laporte and Ceballos. They're the only two players from a fantasy football perspective which I can
No,
think
but
of.
if someone pulls something, what in the warm
Yeah,
up?
yeah, yeah.
I don't
Well,
know.
and unfortunately, that's the world of FPL and the unfortunate situation that you're in. The fact that you're in Australia.
Yeah, I know.
Um, that's
Yeah,
kind of.
I happen at one point. I reckon. It's I just think that I'll have that. If that happens, that means my game week's doomed to be. I think I should be good. I should go in your head when you're getting close to the season and everything.
Oh, we're going red. I'm hoping nothing's going wrong.
Yeah, it says offline, unfortunately.
Cut off.
This is really annoying me. Because what happens is, here we are, we're back on. No, we're going off again. I honestly don't know why. I'll be fascinated to hear from Jason as to why the internet is constantly going on off. It makes not on off, but it just makes no sense that
Is it the internet or the computer?
According to Jason, it's the actual Wi-Fi itself, and I have no idea because I've been streaming now for 54 minutes and the first 45 were absolutely fine, and then all of a sudden, just like that, it just cuts off, and hopefully it'll be okay. Just a quick one for you, Aussie boy. Ryan Sheeran saying that put your alarm at around 30 minutes before deadline so that you don't miss any news. Is that any help or
That's
not?
actually because I think it's an hour before the game it locks out, right? Is it an hour?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I might, but that means I have to get up at 3:30. So, I might consider it, but if I probably won't. But just be luck. But I don't think it will happen. It's just a concern that what goes through your head.
I mean, I was going to say if you're worried about injuries, things like that, maybe make sure your team isn't filled with injury-prone players, so they don't have that concern in the back of your mind.
Yeah, no. My team's no. I don't have really any injury prone, unless you count Pope, but that's about it.
Yeah, no, he'll be fine, and Dyche will tell us if he's fit on Friday. One for you, Aussie boy. This is from Vish. Is Lucas Mora worth it?
Well, personally, I'm not going to be going for him. I've chosen Pulisic. I'm going with my gut on him, but Mora, I don't want to be getting a player like that, of that money, just for 3 weeks, and also with the concern about him not playing, in up front, which is the role that we'd want him to be playing. But he's a good. He should be good though. I reckon he should be a pretty good punt for the first few weeks. So, he's definitely one of the better 7.5 options in my opinion.
Fast and Bulbous basically making a funny comment saying that Everton had better get off Zaha's back today because otherwise Palace are done for. There will be riots on Saturday. He's going to bed now. It's 7:20 in the morning. I'm assuming he's just done a night shift, and he's wishing us all a good night. So, well, a good morning to us, but thank you for those words there. A quick question on behalf of a friend of mine, actually. Good friend of mine, Mr. Reed. I'll ask this to you, Monkey Blast. Who would you have out of Ross Barkley and Pulisic?
I'd probably say Christian Pulisic, because in preseason he was taking a few corners, a few free kicks here and there, and in general, I think he has the license to roam everywhere, whether it be out on the wings and in sort of a central attacking role, or he's just given so much freedom to do whatever he wants. And in sort of like the footsteps of Hazard. I think he has the pressure and obviously the expectations to fulfill at least 50% of what Hazard brought. Whereas Barkley, I don't even know if he's nailed on into the team, because I can very easily see Chelsea go a midfield three of Jorginho, Kante, and I don't know, somebody else, and
Obviously.
bringing on Barkley as a sub.
Yeah. Well, that's actually really reassuring because I have Pulisic, so I didn't know he was on set pieces, so that's actually really nice to hear.
And
I'm not saying he's guaranteed, but I saw him take a few.
Yeah, yeah. Well, just even if he takes a few, it's better than none, so it's just another reason for me to keep him.
as ever, for anybody listening right now, if you're part of the Discord group and you want to get live on air with myself, Monkey Blast and Aussie Boy, you're more than welcome to be discussing the season ahead. We're kind of not really doing Rate My Teams at the moment, but if you want any advice from the three of us, then by all means come live on air and be more than happy to discuss your issues. There was something that I was going to ask you, Aussie Boy, which is quite simply this. What are you most looking forward to this season? It could be absolutely anything. It could be Liverpool challenging for the title as an example.
Well, I think obviously just if we can win the league, I'm just looking for just the season in general is just such a fun league to follow. But I think mostly for FPL, definitely the Cash Mini League. It's going to be so fun. I think I heard Phil say before. I just don't want to be on the bottom of the of the rankings. It'd just be terrible. But yeah, it looks to be really enjoyable.
I can't remember
the Cash League. So yeah,
I can't remember if it was you that mentioned this, but I'm sure it was that you said that because of this Cash Mini League, that you're actually going to be taking this season even more serious than ever before. Was it you or?
Yeah, I think it was me. I'm pretty sure I've said that. Yeah, because it gives me more. When there's money at stake, I'm definitely going to be more involved. So yeah,
absolutely.
I'll take it very seriously, and I think I'm definitely gonna. I just can't wait for just everyone's reactions. You know, where something goes wrong and then everyone gets all angry. Or yeah, it's gonna be very fun. The Cash Mini League, and there's gonna be a lot of banter between everyone.
Especially the fact we've got this Discord group set up, and not only can you type away, you'll be able to actually literally speak to the people involved. I mean, there are some people that said that they don't even think they'll be able to watch the streams or anything because they'll be so disheartened by some of their game weeks. An interesting comment from Stephen Harmenstein saying that Steve-O, Zuma will start because David Luiz has been told that he's not first choice. Obviously, there have been reports that David Luiz looks like he's on his way to Arsenal. Where on earth that has come from, I have no idea, but it's pretty much solid information. Monkey Blast, again, we've already asked you this, but not necessarily Kurt Zuma, but what are your thoughts on David Luiz potentially shoring up that Arsenal defence? We had Dan on, our resident Arsenal fan, saying that David Luiz is such a hit and miss player. 1 minute he could have a world-class game, the next minute he's quite literally sideshow Bob. But what are your thoughts on David Luiz maybe being a better Arsenal defender to help them get more clean sheets, basically?
I think David Luiz, as you rightly pointed out, is a hit or miss defender. The one thing that he definitely would bring to Arsenal defense is some experience. I mean, he's a Premier League winner. He's been in the league, in and out, sure, but he's been in the league for 5 or more years now. And he scores the odd free kicks or the odd headers, and sometimes he's in the right place at the right time. But he's kind of like Socrates for me, or like Lichtsteiner. He's just a little bit old now. He should be around 30, maybe 32 years old. Yeah, so he's not young. I don't think he brings a lot of athleticism. So if you're looking at a player like Rudiger, Zoom, these players are way more athletic, way more energized, and quite frankly younger and eager to play for Chelsea or play for the team. And David Luiz going to Arsenal, I don't think that brings him more stability. Maybe just another body.
We've had I thought he was going bed, but clearly not. Fast and Bulbous has brought up Harry Wilson that's been sent on loan to Bournemouth from Liverpool. He did really well for Derby. Aussie boy, do you think that Harry Wilson could be the David Brooks of this year, considering he'll probably play in David Brooks' place while he recovers from injury?
Yeah, definitely. He's from what I've seen of him, he's actually a really, really good. I remember there was this one thing I saw of him when they played. It was United, I'm pretty sure. FA Cup. He scored this absolutely unbelievable knuckleball. So I might try and find that video and put it in the Discord. But yeah, I think he's definitely capable. The only reason we're loaning him out this year, is because he's not good enough to get into our first team. He's an absolutely amazing young player. I think he's a first team player for pretty much any team outside the top six, and maybe Everton and Leicester are teams that he wouldn't be a first teamer for. But yeah, he's a really good young talent, and he plays well. He played well in pre-season, and yeah, he'll be an exciting prospect, and yeah, he's definitely an option at 6 million. It's quite cheap.
Baz King, though, that links us perfectly into Baz King's comment of who is the best 6 million midfield option is Harry Wilson for that game week 1 punt. That option at 6 million.
Well, I don't really think you would take a punter because he hasn't even played with them yet. So I don't even know. Will he play game week 1? I'm not sure, but I don't think he hasn't even played preseason or anything with them because it was quite recent they announced it. So yeah, I'd rather take a punt on Barkley at the start. But yeah, definitely keep an eye on him and keep him on your watch lists because he could be a really nice cash grab, as I like to say, later in the year or maybe in the first 5 weeks.
There's a very interesting question here. Again, it's a bit hard to call because I don't know specifically who's in the Cash Mini League, and it's going to be a bit biased, I'm not going to lie, and I don't think you two will be able to answer it, but I'm going to ask you both anyway. But I'll kick it off. And Keyboy, one of our regular contributors, is asking, why don't you give us your top 3 favourites for the Cash Mini League this season? And a couple of names instantly sprung to mind. Block FPL. Block FPL, I'm sure everybody knows him.
Yeah.
But his history suggests that he's going to do very, very well this season. FPL Boona is another one that who has a very, very... his history is very similar to mine. So I think Boona may actually miss... I know Boona's there in chat. I know you're watching live. Welcome to the stream, my friend. I think that me and Boona could be having a rivalry there. I know that there's a... Jason announced it yesterday. Obviously, I know who it is, but there is a big YouTuber that has joined the Cash Mini League. They're going to be someone right up there because, their history is absolutely fantastic. I think someone like John Harris, if you don't know who John Harris is, last season he joined the Elite FPL Mini League, and he basically it was his first ever season, and he ended up in the top 1,000, I think, something like that. But he was right up there in the triple figures, so to speak, and I think he could be potentially someone to look out for. Daily Llama as well, based on what he's been telling me from last season and everything, and it's to me it seems that people are playing this game more regarding actually don't worry about specific players across the whole season. For example, having Harry Kane from the start, maybe go with players that have really good fixtures. I mean, before we get onto your maybe predictions, Aussie boy, are you changing your strategy this season to do even better? For example, like myself, who's going with players with better fixtures.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, at my first draft, I realised it was very much to do with season keepers, but now most of my team is either based on, I just think some of them, they're not based on fixtures. I just think they're good players like Jota, but lots of the players like Wilson, Fraser, Digne, all those guys, and I think Pulisic, their fixtures after the United game are very good. I think the only two people, I think there are maybe three people in my team at the moment who I think are potential for season keepers, and that's Salah, Sterling, and Pope in goal. And that's about it. Most of my team is heavily based around fixtures, I got to say.
Is there anybody in this cash mini league off the top of your head which you think is going to do really, really well this season? I mentioned a few names there, but is there anybody that you can think of? I mean, I'll go.
Well, I'm not 100% sure, but hopefully me.
Yeah.
Well, but yeah, it seems Block FPL finishing 50th. You can't really look past him, can you? That's pretty insane. Yeah. So yeah, I've watched a few of his videos as well on YouTube. He seems to know what he's doing. So yeah.
Monkey Blast, your thoughts on how you're changing your strategy this season to maybe do a lot better than you have done in the past?
No, for me, every season is play for fixtures at the beginning of the season, accumulate some sort of money, and then get the players for the long term. Because right now in my team, I don't have Kane, and I think Kane's going to bag about 20 goals. Sterling's going to be the same. Salah's going to be the same. So for me, it's start off the season with as many people that I think are going to start off well while keeping Salah and Sterling, because I know they can score in any fixture, anytime, any game. And once it's time and once the fixtures aren't in favor for my players, then wildcard, get the people that I want for the long term or foreseeable future. And then think about when I want to play the chips and how I want to play that second wildcard. So my strategy really hasn't been changed, but it's definitely been affected by, a lot of content creators and FPL content creators and what they say and how they perceive things, whether they have a proven track record or not, just because they carry so much weight. Such a big part of their audience will be educated in how they think. So it's a lot.
Absolutely. Aussie boy, here's a question for you. Which new signings to the Premier League, for example, Pepe as an example, do you think are going to do really well from an FPL perspective?
Well, yeah. I'm not sure. Well, I think Dybala, or he looks like that deal's locked in. I think he's a great player from what I've seen of him, and I think he could really explode onto the scene if he's given enough of the chance. That's also why I think Lucas Moura might be a bit of a risk, because Dybala is a very good player. So that's another reason I worry about him. But yeah, I think Dybala, Pepe, Liverpool have been going after him, but lots of those goals, I think 9 or so, were scored off penalties. So, and you wouldn't really think so. Maybe he's a bit overrated, but he looks to be a really good player. So, I'd probably say Pepe. He's a good talent.
Monkey Blast, I'm not going to proclaim to be an expert on Juventus or anything, but Dybala, how would he fit into the Tottenham team? Because he would have to be first choice, I would think. I mean, I know FPL Boone is in there if he wants to answer that question as well, but do you have any thoughts on how Dybala would fit into the Tottenham setup?
I don't know. I really would have a really hard time fitting him in the team because Kane's your starter. You can't get rid of him. Son has just been scoring for fun the last few seasons. How can you get rid of him? I mean, sure, he was suspended. They might have the Asian Cup every once in a while, but you can't get rid of Son. So that's two strikers. So unless you want to push somebody out wide and play a 4-3-3 and have somebody play out in the wing and maybe Kane through the middle, I don't see where Dybala fits. Lucas Moura
behind at Juventus, like a attacking midfielder role. Maybe he fills Eriksen's place if he goes.
I just don't think Dybala has the technical passing ability to fill in Eriksen's shoes. Because Eriksen was able to take set pieces, corners, ping balls left, right, and center, and get assists like no tomorrow. I don't think Dybala has that passing ability. Maybe the finishing product, maybe. But I think that that strike force is just too top heavy in terms of goal scoring, and midfield wise, it would be really lacking. So maybe he might come like at the 60th minute every game if they need a rest for Harry Kane.
Yeah.
It's good to have depth.
To play him as a super sub at Juventus as well, but he's quite versatile. He can play on the wing as well. He's quite fast as well. So maybe he plays with Kane, and I don't know. Maybe you play Son. You'd figure out a way though to fit them in. Surely you'd probably just play Lucas Moura on the bench though, would you?
Gareth,
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
I was just going to say, Gareth Bale, right? We know he's not going to be leaving Real Madrid, or if he does, he isn't going to come to the Premier League. But let's just say, for argument's sake, Tottenham were to sign Gareth Bale, okay? He would probably come into the FPL game at approximately, 11.5, maybe 12. Now,
Yeah, probably just 10.5.
Yeah, just one quick question, would you take him at that price ahead of, say, Sterling or something, or here we go, or would you try and fit him in your team, or would it be a wait and see?
I would definitely not even come close and watch everybody pick him up and laugh out. I definitely don't. I would pick Bale. He hasn't played consistently enough, and nor has he accumulated the stats. Being out of the Premier League for quite some time, I don't know. And Kane, Salah, the last 2 seasons, they've been absolutely magnificent. It would take a brave man to pick up Gareth Bale right off the beginning.
Especially with all the controversy or whatever he's faced at Real Madrid, he hasn't been overwhelmingly good, has he? They've been trying to get rid of him for quite a while now, if I'm not mistaken. So, I don't know, is there a reason for that, or is it just because it's Real Madrid? But I don't know. I don't think he'll end up moving them.
No, the reason why I say that is because Gareth Bale is a proven Premier League player. He's basically a world-class player at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Dybala looks like he's definitely, it looks like a high percentage chance of him coming to Spurs. What price do you think he'll come in at, and do you think that he is an automatic pick? Monkey, we'll go with you first.
I think he might be just about Son's price, probably 9.5, 10. And no, I don't for him because, maybe for the first 2 game weeks while Son is out, but I think once Son comes back in, Dybala is not guaranteed. I really don't know if he'll play as effectively as Eriksen in the number 10 role, so I don't think so.
Yeah, and what about you, Aussie boy?
Yeah, I think 9.5 as well seems like the right price. You can't really put him more than De Bruyne or anyone like that who's proven, and then kind of like Nicolas Pepe, like a really good new signing. It just fits well. I think 9.5, low maximum 10. I just think you wouldn't even go at 10. I don't think, and I think minimum 9. I think it would be 9.5. Pretty confident in that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, Notorious Nerds saying it'll be if he was to go to Tottenham, it'll be in a 4-2-3-1 with Dybala as the number 10. Arioki saying that he'll play in a 4-3-1-2. Interestingly enough, some people coming with price predictions if he does come into the Premier League. FPL Boona, a resident Tottenham fan, saying he maybe 9.5. Cy Bellamy going 10. So we're looking at the 10-ish kind of region there, but like you said, certainly a wait and see and whatnot. But I believe
you wouldn't jump on him. You would jump on him right away.
Again, I thought we had someone in the... Again, if anybody wants to come live on air with myself, Aussie Boy and Monkey Blast, by all means, we want to chat about our predictions for next season. We want to get you guys involved. I did see we had Football Focus in there, and I've seen a few people coming in and out. It's you just stay in there and we'll be more than happy to bring you on. Apologies for some of the technical issues as I keep stating that the Wi-Fi keeps coming in and out. I don't know why, but it is. It doesn't seem to be affecting the stream per se. All I do know is that when I watched the replay last time, what happens is that it continues recording, but basically the conversation gets cut out. So apologies for that, but everything seems to be okay again. Just a quick one for you, Monkey Blast. Who do you think has been overpriced in this season's FPL game? I've gone with a couple here. I've gone with Moise Keane, Allaire, as a couple of examples. What about yourself?
I'd have to take a look. I think right off the top of my head, maybe Pepe is the one that comes to mind. He had a great season in the French league, but for an unproven player, 9.5 million. I think the reasoning behind it is because a lot of people expect him to assist Aubameyang and play alongside Aubameyang. Like I said, and get a lot of goals and points that way. So I can see it that way. But I mean, he's priced the same as De Bruyne, Son. For a player that's just come into the league and we've not even heard of him 2 seasons ago, he seems a little bit overpriced. Maybe some of the Wolves players just off the back of their fantastic seasons last year. Maybe Doherty might be a little bit more, 6 million. For his price, you could get Digne, many Chelsea options for that matter. And yeah, those are the players that come to mind. Really.
Well, he must have heard the call, and Fantasy Football Focus is back with us, and we'll bring him live on air now. So, Fantasy Football Focus, welcome to this morning. Could you, Fantasy Football Focus, you need to unmute mute the stream, please, and then we won't get so much feedback. So, we'll give you a 3, a 2. Fantasy. Yeah. Fantasy Football Focus, you need to turn the stream off and then we can bring you live on air. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring Andy from good old Ireland live on this morning's Elite FPL call-in for our predictions for the season ahead. So Andy, welcome to this morning's stream, my friend.
Hello.
Hello, Andy. Yes, you are live on the...
All right.
Have you already just woken up?
I wasn't sure if I was on or not, so...
So Andy, remind our viewers and listeners who you support and which 3 players would you recommend fantasy managers to own?
Support United. I think De Gea is one to watch. Wan-Bissaka, Pogba, and Rashford would be my players to watch. But I wouldn't have them. I wouldn't start them.
Are you agreeing with Phil? Or are you agreeing with Monkey Blast about Rashford? That Phil thinking that he'll get between 50 and 20 goals in the Premier League. Monkey Blast not too as optimistic.
Yeah, I can see him getting between 15 and 20 goals. It's a more attacking system than under Jose, so I can see it. I can also see Martial as someone who can.
Who you're breaking up a bit there, but we'll try and persist with this. I mean, Vish has come in with. We've been talking about Kurt Zuma because of this whole David Luiz potential move to Arsenal or wherever he decides to go. And simply put, what are your thoughts on Kurt Zuma maybe going straight into your team as a 5 million Chelsea defender? I think it's great value.
Yeah, I think Kurt Zuma is a good choice. I'm thinking about bringing him in after first game week for Kyle Walker-Peters. So I think he's a good choice.
Absolutely, yeah. It is a simple question for you, Andy. Who do you think is going to win the Premier League this season?
Sorry, I missed that last bit.
Who do you think will win the Premier League this season?
I am Man City, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think Liverpool will reach the same level as they did last year.
Interesting. Just one final question, really, which is this: how excited are you for tomorrow, and what are you most looking forward to this season ahead?
I'm looking forward to watching United. If any young players come through, and. Yeah, and I'm interested in seeing the promoted teams as well. I want to see what bargain picks are available or are worth doing.
Is there anybody that springs to mind where you think, you know what, I've got my eye on this particular player?
I like the look of McGinn. I like the look of Callum Robson. Obviously, I've been talking about him before. Yeah, I like Buendia as well. I think he's a really skillful player. So those would be my ones to look at.
Andy, I'm sure you'll hopefully be able to join us tomorrow evening. You're breaking up a bit there, so we'll let you go, but hopefully you join us tomorrow and discuss what happens with the Liverpool game, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll see.
Cheers, dude. There's Andy there with his thoughts. Unfortunately, break up a bit there. So let's try Fantasy Football Focus again. He just mentioned the fact that he had muted the stream and everything, so let's find out. Fantasy Football Focus. Ooh.
So those would be my ones to.
Fantasy Football Focus. You'll hopefully be able to join us tomorrow evening. You're break. I think my understanding is that I'm sure someone in chat will be able to correct him. You just have to put your headphones in or something like that when you want to come onto the Discord. If somebody wants to help out Fantasy Football Focus in chat regarding how to use the Discord, by all means. I mean, how do you guys listen in to this particular stream and talk to me at the same time, Aussie boy?
Oh, well, I just through the Discord. So what happens is I keep my sound on and I listen to the stream, and then I hear you bring me on because my mic's muted when I'm in the waiting room. So then when you bring me on, I turn off the stream and then I unmute the mic.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I just talk through the Discord on speakerphone.
There we are. Right then, Deja. We'll bring on Deja, get his thoughts on next season. Deja, you are live on the Elite FPL morning calling, my friend.
Morning, Sheila.
Wow. Where are you calling from?
I'm from Australia.
Oh, as much as I'd love to keep you on, unfortunately the sound is terrible. We'll just quick get a quick couple of questions for you. Who do you think is going to be top goal scorer next season?
Harry Kane.
Good. I agree with you. I've gone with that. And come on then, let's hear it. Let's get a bit down. Who do you think is going to get relegated?
To me, to be honest, Norwich. I just don't think this side's good enough to take on the EPL.
Okay, Deja, you're unfortunately the sound is just it sounds like you're speaking under a bed cover or something. I can't, maybe even a walkie-talkie. Who knows? But here's a question for your Monkey Blast. I asked it last night. Well, which teams, from a fantasy football perspective, do you think you should avoid next season? Mine were Newcastle and Crystal Palace.
Avoid? Yes, I think Crystal Palace definitely. I think a lot of people, especially maybe the casuals, looking at Crystal Palace and Wan-Bissaka's clean sheets and find value there. See, maybe Wolves this season as well, due to Europa League. Newcastle, I think without Rafael Benitez, they're just not going to have as good of a structure, which might evidently boost their attacking returns because they know defensively they might not be the best. And I think the promoted teams are going to be a bit of a risk in the beginning of the season, but you never know. Usually one team does really well of the promoted teams, and then they usually die down towards the mid portions of the season. Maybe Southampton as well. I don't think their strike force is looking too solid. Either is their defense. So, yeah, those are my options.
Aussie boy, that's actually a really interesting question there that has been brought up, and I've completely forgotten what it was. So that's a complete way. My mind has just gone blank. You've just brought up a really interesting point, and my mind's just gone completely blank. But what I will ask is this: a good friend of the show, Vince Chapman, is asking. I'll ask you, Aussie boy, who would you choose between Zuma and Pereira, as in the Pereira of Watford midfielder, or would you go with Dunk and Tielemans?
Ooh. So who is it? Zuma and Pereira or Duncan?
Yeah, and Duncan Tielemans.
I'd probably go with Duncan Tielemans, because Brighton's defense is okay, and whereas you're taking, I think with Tielemans and Duncan, they're guaranteed gonna play. Whereas Zuma and Pereira, there's been some talks about him not starting or something, and then and also Zuma, you never know because obviously there's competition for that centre back position. So I'd go safe at the start and go Tillemans and Dunk, to be honest.
I don't know if you'll be able to answer this, Monkey Blast, but as someone that's been watching pre-season games, it may be an interesting topic for you to bring up. So, Rad Robbie asking, is anybody thinking that Azpilicueta could play at centre-back now Louise is gone? And if so, does Zappacosta at 4.5 become an option?
To be honest, I haven't really seen Chelsea themselves playing preseason. I've only seen the Fantasy Football Scout spreadsheet of the minutes that players have played. So I'm not exactly sure where everybody's played. I want to say Azpilicueta has remained as a right back, but obviously they have Zappacosta as an option. So yes, I think it is a possibility. Azpilicueta plays as a center back because that's where he originally started. And if that's the case, I think his returns in terms of getting assists could potentially go down. I mean, from the stats, it looks like it stayed pretty consistent throughout the entire season, no matter where he's played. But if he does play center back to provide more experience, and Zappacosta plays on the right, then Zappacosta at 4.5 looks like a really good option, and that might also hurt our chances with Zuma and Christensen.
Okay, we're going to bring Fantasy Football Focus and we're going to try him for the 15th time, it appears. But in all seriousness, let's see if he's working. So, Fantasy Football Focus. Oh, Fantasy Football Focus, can you hear us? You are live on the Elite FPL.
Oh, wow, finally, I'm live. Yes, I can hear you.
And you're English. Where I'm assuming you're calling us from somewhere in England, or are you actually out there in Australia or New Zealand?
Well, no, I'm in the UK.
Whereabouts?
Whereabouts? Cambridgeshire, mate.
Right, okay, very, very nice indeed. So obviously we've been asking people for who they support and which 3 players of that specific team you would recommend. Please don't be a Man United fan, because you seem only have to Man United fans.
No, I'm actually an Arsenal fan. I'm a Gooner.
Brilliant. So someone different. So this is going to be interesting. Which 3 players then would you recommend for a fantasy football manager to own from Arsenal?
Okay, interestingly, I am going mainly this season for Lacazette. I feel with Pepe coming in, and I'm excited about this guy, I feel Lacazette will play down the middle of Aubameyang and Pepe. So I think he's going to be feeding off of everything.
What, Monkey Blast, straight away I'll ask you. Lacazette, I haven't even heard a single individual mention his name until Fantasy Football Focus has just come on. What are your thoughts instantly on this Lacazette pick?
Honestly, initially, I was also considering Lacazette from the start before I had even made my first drafts. Just because Lacazette tends to play more of that central role, just surely because he can't play anywhere else. He is just an out-and-out striker, whereas Aubameyang has played as a right winger. He's played a little bit behind the striker, so he can play in a variety of positions, which makes him, disposable and play elsewhere. Lacazette reminds me eerily of Mane from last season, where everybody went for Salah, and Mane was the cheaper option that ended up getting the more of the goals. But looking at the Premier League listing here, it says he has an ankle injury, 75% chance of not playing. So I don't know if he's going to start, but I think, yes, him and Aubameyang, I feel like are going to share the goals, but I think Aubameyang's going to slightly edge him. So maybe on the price point, Lacazette might be a shout.
And who are the other 2 options that you'd be going for Fantasy Football Focus that you'd recommend to anybody?
I think he's a bit of a troll, but I think you can't overlook Callum Wilson with his opening fixtures.
No.
I think King's been a bit off, so I think you'd favour Wilson going into the season.
I was mainly specifically asking for the team that you support, the 3 that you would choose from your own team that you would recommend.
Of course you did. It's that breakfast going to the brain. Right, Arsenal option. So, well, you can't really say new transfers yet because you can't guarantee, but Tierney could be an exciting prospect, like Robertson, but obviously that will take him time. So focusing on players that are in the squad. Kolasinac, after his incident in London, I think his defence will be much stronger.
How much do you think Tierney's going to come in at?
It's an interesting one. I'd like 5.5, but I reckon they'll be naughty how they have been. I think he'll come in at 6.
Really? Wow. I mean,
yes.
There's been talk of Rob Holding. Now, admittedly, he's injured at the moment, but is Rob Holding a possible 4.5 bargain for that back four at Arsenal?
Absolutely agree with you there. Rob Holding, I think Emery thinks big of him before he got his injury, which is very unfortunate. He's just a great defender for us. If we can get him back in and playing again, then yeah, he's a great option.
And who?
Arsenal has reached an agreement with David Luiz for £8 million.
Oh, 8 million! Wow, that's Ralph Zanelli for you. He has done wonders this season.
What are your instant thoughts on that? What are your instant thoughts on that transfer, fantasy football?
Well, mind blown. I think a trip to the barbers will be needed. That might make him a bit faster at the back, stop his hair, slowing him down. And no, you just need some focus from the guy coming in, because we all know he's got an error in him.
Yeah. I asked this earlier on to Monkey Blast, but I'll ask you as an Arsenal fan. Do you think, though, that David Luiz is the man to shore up that back four and potentially get you into that top 4, if not top 3, possibly?
I think he could provide a little bit of solidarity, but I don't think he's enough to get us into that top 4. I think you'd be looking at a better player, but I will take him over a Mustafi, and the defence has been a mess. And David Luiz obviously has that experience, and if Holding comes back, as you mentioned, that experience can work well. And now we've got Lundberg coming to the front rather than Steve Bold. I think it will be better defensively. Fingers crossed.
So I've been noticing your name a lot in our chat room and through the Discord and everything. And you're clearly a fan of the show and everything. You're kind of new to the show, so to speak. I mean, how did you find out about... I like asking this question. How did you find out about the Elite FPL podcast? When did you start watching us? And yeah, I'll follow that up in a minute with another question.
Yeah, it was actually about a month ago, and it was through Twitter that I saw you. I think I followed you guys, and then I saw that you're posting your videos, and then through there I see that you do live streams. I see that you're on quite a lot, which is hats off to you guys. Takes a lot of dedication and hard work. So well done to you guys for, well, mainly you, Steve-O. You seem to really put it in.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's got to be done. It's only pre-season. It's not just me. It's just Jason as well. If it wasn't for Jason, we wouldn't be having this wonderful setup. And he'll be on tonight. I don't know if he'll be able to join us tonight for our game week 1 predictions. But it's not just me. It is Jason as well. He puts in a hell. In fact, he probably works harder than me, to be honest with you. As I always say, I'm just the guy that presents what he has created, basically. One final question for you, which leads me into into what I just asked. What are you most looking forward to next season?
What am I most looking forward to for this season coming? Did you say it just cut out?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Well, I suppose it's going to be interesting to see. I'm an Arsenal fan, but can Liverpool do what they did again last season? You know, they were that 1 point away. Is anyone going to be able to touch City at the top? Who can bring them back in? Can it be done, basically?
It is a question for you as a North London fan of Arsenal. Who would you? He's not asking you, but I'll ask you on his behalf. So Josh Thacker is asking, who would you choose out of Aubameyang or Kane?
Or, I mean, as an Arsenal fan with my Arsenal goggles on, total disrespect to Harry Kane. With my England hat on, I love Harry Kane, I have to say. But I will opt for Aubameyang. I just love his pace. I love the way he gets in behind people. Harry Kane's more of a physical, hold-up kind of player. I mean, he can be quick on the turn. He's got that in his locker. But for me, all and out, a bit of flair, Aubameyang for me, does it all day.
Brilliant. Thank you for coming on the show. I'm sure we'll see you tonight at some point predicting the games along with myself and Jason.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me on. Take care and enjoy the rest of your day, guys.
No, thank you. Great first time caller there. Really appreciate him coming on. I'm sure we'll get him back on again. Yeah, like I said, tonight we are officially launching our first actual episode tonight, the Gameweek Preview, where I finally get to do the history of various teams and what the likelihood of the result will be and everything. I mean, Monkey Blast, who would you actually choose out of Aubameyang and Kane?
Are we talking season long or for game week?
Just that's the question. Aubameyang or Kane? I would assume it's for pretty much starting with game week 1, but
I would say maybe start out with Kane. Well, I'd say Aubameyang's fixtures, his first fixtures are really good against Newcastle and Burnley, and then he gets tougher than that. For Kane, he starts off against Villa, and then City comes out, but the fixtures aren't too bad. But I would say Kane struggles a bit in August. That's so difficult. I'm not sure who's on penalties on that would be my key decider, because Kane is on penalties for Tottenham. So if Aubameyang is on penalty, then I think I have to give it to Aubameyang.
The Lost Guy, you've been waiting in the waiting room for quite a while. We'll bring you live on air right now. So the Lost Guy, or that Lost Guy, sorry, more to the point, we'll bring you on in a minute. And I've got a bit of a special rate my team in a second. So Theo, get ready, because myself, Monkey Blast and Aussie Boy will look over it, because you've kind of got something special to say about it. So I'm going to make that as a special... what's the word I'm looking for? I can't even think of the word, but yes, that Lost Guy. We're going to bring you live on air right now. So, good morning to you.
Hey, Steve-O, what's up?
Good morning, my friend. We've been asking all morning about predictions ahead of the season. I'll straight away ask you, who do you support, and which 3 players of that specific team would you recommend to a fantasy football manager?
Underdogs, you know.
Who?
Underdogs.
Oh, you don't specifically support...
Anybody who takes out City, Liverpool.
Where...
Hello?
Hello, yeah? Whereabouts in the world are you calling us from?
New York.
Oh, wow. Fantastic. And what's bringing you... Well, how long have you been watching the stream for, and how long have you been with us in this Discord for?
By the way, I'm Ari Hiroki on YouTube.
There we are. the name that Jason, for some reason, can't pronounce. I don't know why. Arioki, welcome to the stream. You are another supporter of the show and everything. How long have you been with this Elite FPL podcast for?
Since November, I guess.
Wow, so you've seen a massive change in what myself and Jason, and Dan, to be fair, have done with this. What are your thoughts?
Oh, it's been great. 100 subs to almost 1,500.
It's been fantastic. So, straight away, I'll ask you, what are you most looking forward to this season?
This week, Norwich scoring on Liverpool.
So, I'm kind of somebody like yourself. I'm a cricket fan of the sport, but I don't specifically have a team that I like. But I always like the underdog. So, I'm assuming, like me, you just feel that it's always just nice to see the underdog go at it against the bigger clubs and see if they can actually do something.
Yep.
Okay, yep.
That's always always boring when City wins and stuff.
No, I completely agree. I mean, is there any team this season that you've really got an eye on? I mean, Norwich, for example, Sheffield United, Burnley is another team. Brighton, they're going to be real underdogs this season. What are your thoughts on them 4 teams alone?
I actually have my eye on Southampton.
Yes, I completely. Do you want to tell the listeners as to why Southampton for you?
So, at the end of last year, Ralph, the manager, when he came in, they only scored 5 goals, lost a bunch of matches. As soon as he came in, they scored about 35 goals, 22 games.
Yeah, he's an exciting manager, and they're actually a team that no one seems to be mentioning whatsoever. I've seen a few people mentioning Che Adams in the chat, and he's one of 4 strikers that obviously Southampton are going to be choosing from. I mean, where do you think Southampton are going to end up?
10th.
10th. They're interesting. But what are your thoughts instantly on that, Monkey Blast?
10th is I don't know. I would have considered them for a relegation fight, to be honest.
Really?
I haven't really seen too much strengthening. Yes, I think they brought in Che Adams is a player that keeps thrown around, but I've never really trusted Southampton defensively or attacking.
I'm guessing you haven't watched like the past 4 or 5 seasons where defense or FPL assets.
Yes, very, very true. I think that from a FPL perspective, Southampton are one of those teams where they seem to give us a gem, like Redmond as an example, Danny Ings, Charlie Austin, Yoshida, Dan's player last season in I've completely forgotten his name. It's the defender that's completely escaped my mind. People like the centre back. His name's completely escaped me. There was of course Cedric that did so well for Jason. I'll never forget last season.
Cedric.
Yeah.
That guy. Yeah, he was definitely.
He got that free kick. I'll never forget it. In fact, there's a stream where I do a Steve-O rant about that actually, specifically on that goal that he scored. But Arioki, is there any final thoughts before we let you go, my friend?
The players who I believe are going to do well this week are going to be Brighton, Perez, Che Adams, and Wilson.
There we have it. Thank you, Arioki, for coming live on air, my friend.
Have a good night, guys.
Cheers, dude. Yeah, that's actually a really, really interesting point there that I always noticed. I made this point last night that on game week 1 we always seem to have random players scoring rather than, for example, the template style players like Perez, Sigurdsson or whatever. Is there any players off the top of your head, Aussie boy, where you think actually maybe keep an eye on him? I'll tell you one player that I'm thinking of, Jay Rodriguez of Burnley.
Yeah, so there are a few, like I think Delafeu is one that's kind of gone off the radar a bit since the start of pre-season. I had him at the start, but I think people have stopped really looking at him, and I think if he against Brighton he could really hit the ground running, or maybe get like a hat-trick or something. Let me think. Another player that I think is flying, I think a Chelsea striker. Well, you just need to keep an eye on whichever ones are starting, because I think 7 million for a top 6 striker is a pretty good deal. So those are just a couple of the ones I think you need to keep an eye on.
Thank you for our good friend Geordie Kev there. Bednarak was the name I was looking for. Right, we've got a lot of callers, you two, so I'm going to be bringing on quick and fast for you two to speak to. But I am going to be doing something a bit different, but there's a reasoning as to why I'm doing this. So Theo from Australia, we're going to get you live on air right now because we're going to do a Rate My Team for Game Week 1, specifically because you're telling us, the audience, that you're 99% certain this is what you're going to be starting with. The only changes that you're thinking of doing are with Zuma to maybe Ake or Holibos, but we'll get into that now. So, Theo, You're live on the Elite FPL morning calling, my friend.
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear. So I've deliberately brought your team up for this Rate My Team because this is a bit of a special circumstance here because you're telling the audience that this is your pretty much final team. For the audio listeners, it's Pope in goal, Digne, Robertson, Zuma, Lucas Mora, Salah, Sterling, Perez, Sigurdsson, King and Wilson. So, yeah, you're pretty happy with this Gameweek 1 team then? And for the foreseeable future?
Yeah, I've had the same group of 8 players for, a week or so now. I think the last time I was on, I had De Bruyne and Vardy instead of Salah and King. So that's my only changes so far.
Ah, yes, because we were struggling with the line. Of course we were, yeah. So, yeah. So you're set with this double Bournemouth attack then?
Yeah, I am. I'll be trading one out game week 3 for sure, but I feel like both will get on the score sheet.
We've been talking about Kurt Zouma all day. You've already brought up a dilemma that you may be considering actually Ake or Holebas instead. I'm assuming you mean for game week 1, but yeah, what making you a bit hesitant over Zouma? Is it just that Man United fixture?
You were talking about maybe Aspi going to centre back, and there's other options like Christensen. They could take his spot, so I'm not quite sure. I can play Ake for the first 2 weeks and then get Zuma back in when I know he's nailed.
Straight away, Monkey Blast, I'll ask you, what are your thoughts on that plan straight away?
I'm actually very interested in this team because this was the dilemma that I had a team very similar to this. The only difference was I had 2 rotating 4.5 million defenders in Charlie Taylor and Diop. That was the option that I was considering. The reason that I was considering that was because of that Everton midfielder. If I sacrificed him, I could go with a Liverpool defender and a Man City defender. So that was the dilemma I was going with. But Ake, I think, is a decent option. He has the fixtures and he has the attacking intent. So that's definitely not a bad option. Holebas, I think Watford typically start well as well. He always has that yellow card in him, so if you can overlook that, then I think that's a good option. So it's just a matter of looking at Zuma and Chelsea's defense and see how well they do. But I think that's just a gut feeling of what Theo wants to go for.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're talking about predictions for the season and everything. How much do predictions play on your mind when it comes to selecting players?
I would say a lot because I'm a Manchester United fan. So most of what I see is my team play, and so I might have a certain inkling of what other teams might play. And when I hear from their fans and who their players to watch are for the season for their teams, that definitely affects how I want to approach Fantasy Premier League. But prediction-wise, I think again that comes down to sort of like a season-long kind of look as opposed to the first few weeks. So I think Ariorki was saying that Southampton were great assets for FPL, but that was over a long-term sort of thing. But they ended up finishing 15th and 16th near the relegation zone. So it's just a matter of fixtures, a bit of luck, and what you really want to go.
Theo, your team appears to be, let's be honest here, pretty template barring Zuma, really. Are you really just looking at the fixtures, the initial ones?
Yeah, I am. I'm hoping for an early wild card. I know injuries can happen, but most of this team have, very, very favourable fixtures for the first 3 weeks.
You're not concerned about possible rotation to Josh King?
No, not really. I feel like, there was Harry Wilson, wasn't there? So possibly, but I can easily switch that out for Jota for the time being if I feel any doubts.
Have you thought about someone like Wesley, or are you just sticking with a plan of stick with proven Premier League players?
Yeah, I was thinking about going King to Wesley, and Zuma can be Wan-Bissaka. That could be a shout, but Yeah, I want to go proven Premier League players.
Straight away, Aussie boy, what are your thoughts on that potential move of King to Wesley and upgrading Zuna to Wan-Bissaka?
Well, I like it. I'm just not sure on Wesley. I had him for a bit, and every time I looked at my team, I just think, I don't really want him there. So I'd probably, I wouldn't really do that move. But this team looks a lot like my team. Like it's the same formation, and it has the same sort of like spine of the team, as I like to call it. So with like I have like the Robertson, Digne, Pope, Sterling, Salah, Perez, and Wilson. So yeah, but I don't know. What are your thoughts on Theo? What are your thoughts on Sigerson and Richarlison? Because I've been considering them quite a bit, and I'm not really sure whether I want them or not. So, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I know they've been out of teams a lot because of their quiet pre-seasons.
Yeah.
But obviously there's a bit of Everton bias here. I'm going to choose one of them. If I had to choose one, if you're going for an early wild card, like a really early one, maybe Richarlison. But Sigurdsson, I reckon, will stay on pens, and he's more consistent throughout.
Yeah. Well, I think Digne is quite safe because the defense was good in preseason, and they're gonna have to get goals from somewhere. And he created the most, I think, like attacking opportunities from defense. So someone's gonna get on the end of it eventually. So I think Digne is a great pick anyway at Everton, despite the quiet preseason.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, I reckon he's almost must-have.
Theo,
Yeah.
Theo, you're obviously a massive advocate of this Discord group and everything, and one of the main questions I've been asking this morning is simply put, what do you think of, what are your thoughts of the season ahead?
Yeah, I really can't wait. You know, the hangouts of
Reconnecting. There we are. And we're back. Apologies, everybody, for the stream going offline. It's I can't comment as to why this is happening. I'm the only one that's awake in this building. I've been in this area every single stream we've done. It's only been over the last 4 or 5 streams that this seems to be happening, and I don't know why. I could speak to Jason, the tech guy, about why this is happening, but it looks like we may have to cut this stream short. I don't know, but as Vince Chapman said, we will persist on for a bit longer. It's all green again. I'm going to bring on... Yeah, it's all fine. I'm going to bring on Shano83. He was very active in the chat a few minutes ago, but I just want to ask you a quick question, Monkey Blast, which is quite simply this. As a Man United fan, Keyboy is saying this. I'll say it again. Martial is the pick of the year. He cannot wait till he scores a brace against Chelsea. Thoughts on Martial?
He's an interesting one. I think I said this 2 days ago in a Southern Hemisphere stream as well. I think it all comes down to how Rashford plays, because right now Man United are set 2-3-1 with Martial on the left-hand side. So he tends to cut in and have a shot every once in a while. If Rashford, isn't scoring that 10 to 15 goal or 15 to 20 goals that everyone is saying he's going to, then I think it's going to be an impetus on to play as maybe that second striker and get those goals. Maybe he's going to score a brace against Chelsea. I have no idea. I would love to see that as a United fan. And at 7.5, his price is really nice. You can just easily take out Mora and put in Martial, straight swap, or downgrade Richarlison or Sigurdsson if they're not preparing to Martial. So he's very interesting, but I don't want to commit to any Man United players at the moment until I see what kind of a team we are come the first few game weeks.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. We're going to bring on, like I said, he's been active in chat all this morning. It's Shano83. Shano83, we are bringing you live onto the Elite FPL morning call-in. Good morning. Wait a minute. Shane, are you there? Hello, Shane. You are live on the Elite FPL call-in. You don't have to be typing anymore. You can now speak.
Hello, Steve.
Hello, Shane. Whereabouts are you calling us from? Ooh.
Adelaide, South Australia.
Let me. Shane, can you please make sure that you turn the stream down for anybody that is in the waiting room at the moment, please make sure that the stream is turned off or basically muted so that we will be able to get you live on air and it won't have that much feedback on basically. So Shane from Adelaide, we'll get you trying back on again. Shane, are you there? Oh, he's not. What a shame. Yeah, Shane, you're listening back on the stream. We need you to turn that stream sound off, basically mute it. So what we'll do is we'll bring on Rabaz. So that's a new name. I don't recognise Rabaz at all. So Rabaz will bring you live onto the Elite FPL morning show. Good morning. Hello, Rabaz.
Hello.
Good morning, Rabaz. Whereabouts are you calling us from?
Good morning, Steve. I didn't hear the last thing you said.
I was just wondering where you're where you're calling us from. I'm detecting an accent.
I'm calling from the office in the western part of Norway.
Another Norway fan. Interesting. Well, how does the boss think about you phoning into an Elite FPL calling show?
I think he's okay with it.
Probably because he wants some tips from Monkey Blast and Aussie Boys. So, Rabaz, who do you support and which 3 players would you recommend to own from that specific team?
Then I have to say I support Blackburn Rovers in so I wouldn't advocate any players there.
What? Why Blackburn?
It goes way back. It's jumping on the bandwagon in 94-95 because of some Norwegian players called Hanningberg mainly, and then I've just stick with it.
Wow, have you regretted that?
Several times.
That's pretty. So
especially watching Rovers losing against Burnley at Ewood Park, for example. Then I regret it a lot.
You must
watching them relegated at Stamford Bridge. I regret it. So
although from
it's been tough.
From a fantasy football perspective, off the top of my head, we had Santa Cruz, Brad Friedel, of course, 2 pioneers of legendary status of fantasy football. I'm assuming that you enjoyed playing it back then.
Yeah, back then it was good, but then I didn't want to pick any Rovers players.
Oh, really?
So I went without to not jinx it.
So, straight away, what I want to ask you is, what are you most looking forward to this season ahead of the game week 1?
Ahead of the game week 1, I look forward to see basically how good Liverpool and Manchester City will be. I'm looking forward to the struggle between the 2 of them. Last year, and I guess it will be as equally close this year. And I also look forward to watch the underdogs and how they perform, like Villa and Norwich and Sheffield United coming up.
Who do you? Okay, well that links us beautifully into then. How do you think the 3 promoted teams will actually do?
Looking back to last year, it would be easy to say that Villa have spent too much and just might have players all over the place and will look like a new Fulham, but I'm not sure about that. They have a good manager and have done some smart moves on the transfer market, I think. Could maybe be a new Wolverhampton mid-table. And I think Norwich and Sheffield United may go down again.
Yeah, I can only apologise to people listening on stream. Again, everything seems to be cutting out. I'm getting really, really frustrated here because I really, really enjoy these morning shows, but everything just seems to go to pot really. So, but we are persisting with everything. A simple question for you then: who do you, other than obviously you've just mentioned Norwich and Sheffield United, who's going to be joining them for relegation? Do you think?
It depends a lot on the deadline day today, but I think if Zaha moves, then I agree with the guy in the stream chat that Palace is going to go down. Then they won't have a chance. Also, a little bit curious about the Newcastle. I think Rafa Benitez is a great manager and did wonders up there. Steve Bruce, Mora, yeah. Don't know if I can trust him as much.
Aussie boy, what are your thoughts on that? The fact that Zaha, if he does leave Crystal Palace, look doomed according to Rabaz.
Yeah, I kind of agree there because he is basically their attack. So, he's there's one or maybe two shining lights in that Crystal Palace team, and I think if they lose him as he's basically their team. Like he's their main man. He's their attacking threat. So yeah, it'd be pretty bad. But maybe the signing of Gary Cahill might help that defense a bit. I'm not sure, but it's not looking too good for them. I think they're one of the teams that I think could possibly be in that relegation conversation.
I think if you're dependent on Christian Benteke, you got a problem.
Yeah.
He was not good for us when we had him. I don't know if he ruined him or what happened, but ever since he came to Liverpool, he was just pathetic because he was so good at Aston Villa, and now I don't even know what's happened. It's like Palace get the players that are bad. Like they got Mamadou Sakho as well from us. Yes. And got our failed prospects.
Rabaz, from a selfish point of view, if Zaha was to join a Premier League team, it could potentially be Everton. Would he become an FPL option at Everton?
No, I don't think so, because I don't want to double up on Everton, and I already have Digne, so I don't think so. Yeah.
That's an interesting thought process, Monkey Blast. Rabaz saying that he wouldn't want to double up on Everton despite their good fixtures, with potentially if Zaha moved there with Digne. What are your thoughts on that?
I 100% agree. If anything, the player that I would pick up is Gylfi Sigurdsson. If Zaha's a penalty magnet and Milivojevic profited off of it, then I think Sigurdsson goes straight into my team. I know he's missed a few penalties as well as taking, but if he's gonna miss a penalty for every 5, I'll happily take 8 out of 10 course of the season. So yeah, I definitely bring in Sigurdsson.
Let's hope Digne ends up with the penalties.
Does he take penalties?
He might be. I've heard.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. Maybe second after Gylfi. So if he misses a couple, then
well,
that would be interesting.
I think that Digne is possibly one of the best assets to get from Everton, full stop. And do you know what? One of my predictions is actually him to score on the opening day of the season. I think he's going to be somebody where I'm really desperate to get in. Rabaz, I don't recognise the name. How long have you actually been with the Elite FPL podcast for, and more importantly, with this Discord group?
Sorry, I didn't hear you very well now. It was cutting out a little bit.
I was just saying that I don't really recognise your name. How long have you been with the podcast for, and how long, more importantly, have you been with the Discord group?
I've just been. I'm having a week's anniversary.
Oh, congratulations. I'm not going to take a shot of vodka of that. So, could you tell the audience what your experience has been with the Discord group?
I was at the chat or at the podcast last night, and I said that this Discord and this Elite FPL community is great, discussing everything which has to do with the fantasy with a lot of nice people. The problem with it is that it's totally addictive. So you check the Discord all the time, and you chat all the time, and yeah.
So, has there been any tips that you've taken away from this particular Discord group which you're sticking with?
Yeah, I was. I think it's Perez, maybe, who has been bragged about a lot in the Discord group, and I think it might be him, and also Digna.
Before we let you go, one quick prediction. What do you think the score will be between Liverpool versus Norwich?
I think 3-0.
3-0 to Norwich. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Rabaz, thank you for joining us on this early morning stream, my friend, and you can now get back to work.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Cheers,
Have a great
dude.
day.
Take care. There we are. Rabaz thinking Norwich will win 3-0. Breaking news, everybody. Could you imagine? Could you imagine that? Pookie scoring a hat.
There's no way. It's not going to happen.
I would feel sad for all those people that triple cap.
Actually, there's a question for you, Monkey Blast. The triple captainship, is there a valid option in using it in a single game week instead of using it in a double game week? Like for an easy fixture like Liverpool versus Norwich?
100%. I think when Suarez played for Liverpool and Norwich came along, I triple captained it for that 5 game, and I definitely did not regret my decision. But the most difficult thing is knowing in the back of your mind that all these teams will have a double game week. And so I think us are always tempted to just hold off, resist it, just hold off until that double game week comes. But there's a few of us that are brave enough that go, I think he's going to score at least 2 goals this game week, and triple captain him. And, I applaud the brave soul. Not one of them anymore.
Ray Joyce coming in with Pope and Taylor double up for Burnley defence. Surely that's worth a shot. No, it's not. It's our fixtures are terrible. I think that I would rather just stick with Pope, to be honest with you. I mean, if we bring up Burnley's fixtures as an example here, I mean, I'll be more than happy to quickly go through some predictions, really. Southampton, they're going to concede against Arsenal. They're going to concede against Wolves. Yep, they're going to concede it. Liverpool, absolutely. It's the Brighton, Norwich and Aston Villa games that you're going to be looking at. And that's not until game week 5 till 7. So there are more than likely clean sheets happening there. There's a chance that we could get a clean sheet versus Wolves, depending on where the fixtures fit around Europa League. I'm not quite sure exactly if Wolves will be playing a Europa League game prior to that specific fixture. But I wouldn't recommend a double up on Burnley defence. But again, it's your team, you're a rival, you can do whatever you want. Hello Steve-O, it's FPL Tom here, great job as usual. Thank you very much again. I can only apologise for the slight technical issues. I've been told in chat that it just cuts out for just only a few seconds and it's back on air again. So I'm going to bring on Stein. He's been a huge follower of the show since God knows when last season, and we appreciate the support. I know he's a Manchester United fan, and we're going to bring him live on air right now. Stein, you are live on the Elite FPL Call, my friend.
Hello, good afternoon.
Afternoon? You're in England, mate. It's morning.
Well, I'm speaking to my Southern Hemisphere friends, Steve.
Well, we've got Monkey Blast in America, and remind us of the time in America, Monkey Blast now.
It's about to be 2 a.m. now.
2 a.m.
Steve, I got it right.
and Aussie boy, what's the time over there?
Oh, yeah, nearly 6 p.m.
6 p.m. There we are. So a complete spread across the world, quite literally. Stein, you're a Manchester United fan. The question this morning is basically, which 3 Manchester United players would you recommend an FPL manager to go for?
Martial, a definite. Greenwood, because he's a fantastic enabler. He's definitely going to get points from the bench. And Wan-Bissaka.
Monkey Blast, as a Man United fan, that's an interesting point that Stein's brought up here with Lukaku going. And I don't think you're going to be bringing in a striker at all today. I think that there's more chance you get an Eriksen, if anything. But even that is probably dead in the water. But Greenwood, do you think actually Greenwood could actually get more minutes than what's expected?
Yes, I definitely think so. With Lukaku gone, obviously Rashford's number one. I think if somebody else plays on the left, then Martial could be number two. But I think Martial stays on the left. And I definitely think Greenwood gets some minutes. I'm not sure how many because I can't think of too many times where Rashford gets substituted before the 60th minute. So he pretty much goes towards the end of the game. But eventually fatigue builds up with competing, at various competitions. And to be honest, out of all of the 0.5 million forwards who could potentially play, or even 5 million maybe, I'd say Rashford is your best bet. Wickham, I don't think so. Nketiah, probably not. So yeah, Greenwood is a great option.
Stein, we had a load of just a quick one. Charlie Austin. It's transfer deadline day, and Charlie Austin looks like he's going to be going to West Brom. So maybe does that make Che Adams a more appealing option after all? But Martial, we were discussing earlier on, Stein, you're very confident on his output potential this season.
Yeah, certainly, Steve. My viewpoint is this. Pre-season, he has had an interchanging role for Rashford, and also James has been put into their team. However, I know Solskjaer actually wanted a player to take the role that James was over on the right-hand side. He hasn't got one. So it could be Lingard playing. If there's nothing, then James takes that role. However, if they are on top and they're 2 or 3-0 up, then I can see Greenwood coming to get me.
Are you excited for Wan-Bissaka this season then, as one of the options that you've chosen as one of the three?
Oh, I think anyone who's got Wan-Bissaka this year is not going to be disappointed. For the simple reason, correct me if I'm wrong here, Stephen. I believe Wan-Bissaka is the only player in history to concede 2 goals in a game up 3.
I didn't quite catch that, Stein. You are breaking up a bit. You said that Wan-Bissaka is the first player in history to concede 2 goals and I'm assuming 3 bonus points? Get 3 bonus points?
Yeah, that's right, Steve. He picked up 3 bonus points. I'm not sure there's another defender out there who has actually conceded 2 goals in a game and collected 3 bonus points.
Can you remind the audience, because I can't even remember, which game was that?
I'm not positively sure who the opposition was, but they lost 3-2 and Wan-Bissaka picked up 3 bonus points.
Right, okay. So you're very, very confident.
That's very reassuring.
Sorry?
Very reassuring for me, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a dilemma myself. I'm pretty set, don't get me wrong, I'm pretty set on Pope and Wan-Bissaka, but what are your thoughts on my dilemma of actually going with De Gea and a 4.5 defender rather than Wan-Bissaka and the 4.5 goalkeeper?
In terms of funds...
it's exactly the same.
Yeah, it's De Gea's not a bad choice. However, yeah, I think you get this season attacking potential and Bissaka more so than he had Crystal, because I think in terms of United being a stronger defensive unit, which they will be, I'm not sure they've really improved their midfield. However, the style of football they intend to play with this high press, I'm sure they're thinking of keeping the ball in the last third just to take pressure off a not so good midfield. And if they bypass that midfield, they come up against a decent, which I'm guessing Solskjaer's thinking that will keep in game in the last 20 minutes, even if it's nil, which is good because Man United will be picking up clean sheets.
So we've got Stein that lives down the road from me, basically. We've got Monkey Blast that's in America. We've got Aussie Boy in Australia. Yet Stein, you're constantly cutting out there. We'll keep you on for a bit longer. But what I do want to ask you is,
Steve, I'm gonna have to go. Okay, mate.
Aussie Boy, thank you for joining us for the past 2 hours, my friend. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, man.
Cheers, dude. Thank you. Bye. There's Aussie Boy there, kindly taking time out to spend 2 hours with us on this morning show. Stein, you've been a huge fan of the show since virtually the beginning, the early days, shall we say. How excited are you for this season with everything that we've got brand new set up?
Steve, I'm actually bursting at the seams. I can't wait. I can't wait. Honestly, I don't know if I'm going to be, dancing like Michael Jackson or ranting like a total madman. I've just no idea which way it's going to go. But it's going to come out one way or the other. So, I can't wait till it starts.
Yeah, is there anything, whether it's a real-life perspective or from a fantasy football perspective, that you're most looking forward to this season?
To be honest, Steve, I'm looking forward to the streams because I really want to know what it is that makes someone make their decision to say, oh, I'm going to take this performing player out and move another performing player into midfield. And you're thinking, well, surely a defender who's picking up 6 can't outscore a midfielder who's picking up 5. But actually, over the course of the season, 3 months in, down the road, you're thinking he's made a bad decision. And actually, what he's done is got a player who actually scores more consistently than the defender who was picking up 6.
Yeah, Monkey Blast, that's a really interesting point Stein has made, because what I've noticed with these live streams, especially with you guys that call in, is that it's the insight that you're giving us, which is just fascinating, and the decision making. And what are your thoughts on that exact point about people actually being able to express themselves on these shows and basically give their opinion on a particular player, like Stein did with Greenwood as an example?
I think it's a huge benefit because there's only a certain number of minutes and a certain number of players and teams that we all can watch. So if somebody coming from out of nowhere is saying this player who's playing in midfield or out of position has more likelihood of getting you returns, and they've been watching him and seeing how they play and how general's been, and you haven't been paying attention to it, that is a fantastic asset because you would have never considered them in a million years. And if we made our decisions purely on our biases, everything that we know, we could only get so far. And by bringing in knowledge and information from everybody else around us, we make more educated and more accurate and informing decisions over the course of the season.
So Tajam, Stein, by pure coincidence, your microphone or whatever's happened is a lot more better now, so we'll keep you live on air for a few minutes if that's okay.
Oh, well, thanks. Not that I've got much.
Tajam.
Sorry. Not that all right.
It's fine. The wonders of live streaming. Tajam, we're bringing you live on air. Good morning to you. Hello, Tajam. I've just...
Hello.
Hello there. How is it going, man?
Yeah, it's going good. How are you?
Could you turn the stream off, please, or mute the stream, because we're getting a lot of feedback in our headphones, etc. However we're listening to it. So I'll give you a few seconds. Just all you got to do is mute the stream, and I'll be able to get you back live on air. So I'm picking up an accent, everybody. I'm thinking South African, maybe. Who knows? Tajun, are you there?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear.
I have switched this.
Unfortunately, it's actually the Discord chat that I'm hearing feedback on. Do you have headphones or anything? That usually solves that issue, because I think we're coming out of your computer speakers or phone speakers. Issue.
Right, interestingly enough. Hopefully Tajam can get some headphones or something like that. I'll quickly tell you. We've got regular contributors to the show, FPL Boona in the waiting room, and let's bring FPL Boona on for this penultimate stream. Stein, are you looking forward to tonight's stream when it comes to our Game Week 1 predictions, mate?
Yes, Steve. Here's the funny thing. I'm wondering, yeah, I know I'm thinking way ahead, but I'm wondering what's going to happen when we go into the end of the season. I mean, because there's going to be no streams. I mean, we've been spoiled. We're getting streamed all the time. And we know we're going to get loads through the season. How are we going to deal with it next summer? I've no idea. But in terms of the streams to follow, I'm looking forward. That's the main thing I'm looking forward to listen to other people, to figure out where I'm going wrong, where I can get a curve. That's just in itself.
Stein, you, basically every other word you're cutting off, so I'll let you go, mate. I can only appreciate you coming on, my friend. Oh, he's gone. He's completely gone. Thank you, Stein, for that. Bula, you're live on live in the corner, my friend. All excited for tomorrow?
I can't wait. Yeah, last day of tinkering. I guarantee you, all day today, I'll be trying to find a way to fit Kane, Salah, Sterling in. And I'll fail again for the third day in a row, I'm sure.
We had
yeah, I'm buzzing for it, mate. Yourself?
I'll be honest with you. I'm finding it really weird because it's something that Stein said, which I'm kind of taking a bit more seriously this year, which is this actual live stream element. Now, apart from the tech aside, I get all that. That's completely out of my control. I think I'm more concerned about bringing you guys the radio show, the calling, whatever, than I actually am thinking about my own team. Like, I'm pretty much set with my team. I'm pretty happy with it, give or take. And I'm just more fascinated by the journey ahead, the narrative that we're going to be creating. I mean, there was a question asked earlier on by Keyboy, it was, that asked about who you're looking out for in this Cash Mini League regarding top players, and your name kept coming up. I even actually mentioned your name. Have you got any, legitimately, if there are any favourites that you think, what they're ones to look out for? I mean, Block FPL is one of them, for example.
You're up there, definitely. Apart from that, I guess not necessarily, but I'm sure we'll quickly find out who the ones to kind of watch out for are. I think I'll be up there, definitely. But yeah, no, I'm not. What's the word? I'm not threatened, should we say? I'm feeling confident. I back myself. So yeah.
I'll ask you both this question. I'll start with Monkey Blast first. So every season, I've noticed there's a pattern with myself when it comes to fantasy football. I always start off bad, and then by the end of the season, I pick up, and it's like, why can't I have started off the season like I ended it? How do you normally how do you normally start a season?
Start season.
For me,
sorry, Monkey Blast, carry
on. For me, it's actually literally the opposite. I'm usually with the 10,000 by halfway. By then, I've usually have a couple of my mini leagues and things like that, so I kind of stop playing Fantasy Premier League and my rank plummets down. But last season, I tried to be faithful, tried to be routine and everything, and that same thing happened. I was top 883 in the. And then since then, it just plummeted down.
So,
what about you, Buna?
How do I usually start the season? For me, it's usually a mixed affair, should we say. Last season was the best start I could ever have asked for. I got a score of 107 and a 2.2k overall rank.
Wow.
I think that kind of set me up for the season ahead. I know one game week isn't much to kind of go off, but I think I backed that up with another top 500, 600k overall rank. So yeah, last season that wasn't the norm for me though. I'm usually a slow starter, and then I play catch up throughout the season. So it was a bit different. But I found myself, I liked the fact that I got off to such a good start, because there was only one occasion I dipped below the 100k mark in overall rank, and that was literally just for one game week. And then for the majority of it, I was in the top 20k. So yeah, it was different, but it was good.
Yeah, Buna, are you? I don't know how to put this really. So, like I said, I watched the Fantasy Football Scout podcast the other day, and I looked at their teams, and I was normally with me, I look at their teams and I'm like, oh my god, I've got to get him because these guys have got it. And this season, I don't know if it's because of the Discord bias, but I'm thinking, actually I'm more happy. Pretty much my team is pretty much the Elite FPL community team, if I'm honest with you. And I'm thinking that's probably the best team you could probably get for the opening 5-6 fixtures personally. Are you finding the Discord group is really helping you with your decision making?
Yeah, absolutely. Can you hear me correctly? Because you're breaking up for me a bit, but can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly fine.
Okay, perfect. So, yeah, no, 100%. And I think when we see like teams like that, don't get me wrong, the experts on Fantasy Football Scout, they've been doing it for countless years. So for us to criticise them is probably not the right thing to do.
Let me just clarify. I'm not criticising them. I just found it quite fascinating with certain picks where I'm like, why have you gone with him or there? I find it a bit peculiar. But sorry, you were saying.
No. So I was just saying there was some moves on there, like you say, that were extremely questionable. And then when you go back to our Discord community, there seems to be so much knowledge there that I genuinely think I've come up with the best team I possibly could have come up with. I'm actually genuinely really happy with it. But like I said to you, though, the only problem is I'm going to still, because of my Spurs bias, try and fit Kane in somehow, but it probably is the wrong decision to do. And the Discord community will tell me that.
I brought we had Theo on earlier on. The reason why we just did a quick rate my team, as we stated earlier, is because, to be honest, he said it was 99% certain done. I just think that is the Elite FPL community advice team. That's what I look at it. It's Pope in goal, Digne, Robertson, Zuma, Lucas Mora, Salah, Sterling, Perez, Sigurdsson. That is the midfield that pretty much anybody would advise. And then King and Wilson up top. What do you think?
Yeah, that's a solid team. You really can't question it, can you? I mean, I'd have Fraser in there personally, but Sigurdsson's not exactly a bad player, is he? So that's strong. And I like the fact that he's gone 3-5-2. I'm currently on 4-5-1, but like I mentioned in the live chat, I don't know if you saw it earlier on, Wickham and Nketiah are both rumoured to be linked with a loan move away. So our 4.5 options up front are even more limited, which means if there's rotation, we're in a bit of trouble.
Well, I have to say that because of people like Stein, because of people like Monkey Blast, I think that Greenwood is that 4.5 striker that we're all looking for. If I'm honest with you, I think that it appears that with Lukaku leaving, I don't think they're going to get this Mandzukic as an example. Talking of strikers, being our resident Tottenham fan, Dybala, talk to me. What are your thoughts on this? Will it happen? And if it does, you mentioned that it will come in at about 9.5. Is he an automatic pick for our teams?
He will be, but I've got to apologise, Steve. I am not saying a word on this. As a Spurs fan, over the years, you'll learn to kind of keep your mouth stum, because when we get excited about these things, they tend not to happen. And given our history, there's a good chance it doesn't happen. If it does happen, you'll be sure to hear about it from me. I don't think I'd stop telling you and speaking about it. So, I mean, if it does happen, I think he'll be a great option. Come on. If we signed Dybala, I think we've got to be genuinely considered as contenders for the title. And he's not the only one that we're considering either. I think we're relatively close to signing Lo Celso, but what I don't understand is where on earth they're all going to fit. I really don't. I think if we sign Lo Celso, I think Eriksen will leave, because he can still go for, I think it's another 4 weeks for into the European transfer window. So yeah.
I just want to do
I don't think you'd be.
Sorry, Monkey Blast, this is completely off topic, but I just want to mention my good friend Mr. Reader. Thank you for making my morning with that text message there. Really appreciate that. Very, very funny indeed. Sorry, Monkey Blast, you were saying?
No, I was just saying, if anything, it helps Spurs in terms of depth. Because one of the things that people were saying the last few years, the lack of signings, the lack of purchases to compete with Manchester City and Liverpool, and have that depth to routinely get points week in, week out, and compete for that title. So if all those players are brought in and Eriksen doesn't leave, I think, yeah, you're right. That definitely makes you one of the title contenders.
Absolutely. I tell you what, Steve, I don't know about you, but I will be sitting in front of the TV all day today until 5 p.m. I won't be able to watch the stream because it's actually my anniversary this evening. Well, so I'm going to be going out for a meal. But until 5, I think the transfer window closes at 4 p.m.
5, I believe. 5 p.m.
So
yeah.
I'll be in front of it all day.
So,
gosh, I can't wait.
So your anniversary takes priority over Game Week 1 predictions, you bandmate.
Well, it's either that or I get the axe.
I think we'll have to get Daily Llama to ban you for 300 seconds.
I don't want to get transferred out. That's the problem.
Is there, just off the top of your head right now, is there any transfers, because you're on the ball at the moment, is there any transfer rumours that look like they're coming to fruition? We've just seen Charlie Austin, looks like he's going to be joining West Brom or Bristol City, bizarrely, but it looks like he's going to leave Southampton. Any other big transfer news that you can bring us up to speed with?
Well, Zaha. Well, we know this. Zaha handed in a transfer request, like an official one, yesterday evening. So that's something to watch out for. If he moves to Everton, I mean, it still could happen. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? That would really throw the cats amongst the pigeons. Apart from that, as you know, Everton have been in for Abdoulaye Doucouré a few times. It'd be interesting to see if they make a third bid, because if they do, and they somehow sign him, their defence is right back on my radar, because I really rate him. Luiz is close to being done. I really can't get my head around that one. 8 million for Luiz. Admittedly, he's 33, but he's so much better than what Arsenal have got. And apparently Luiz actually wanted the move himself, so that's surprising. And then the likes of Dybala, Lo Celso, and also we're still in for this Bruno Fernandes, the long-term Man United target. That's still in the background, so that'll be something to keep a keen eye on. And I think Spurs are also trying to sign a left-back and right-back. Sessegnon's the one we're going for. And a right-back, we were linked with a Napoli right-back. I can't remember his name, but if I hear any news, I will be sure to post it in Discord. That's the one, yeah. I'll post it into Discord if I hear anything new.
Notorious Nurkic's banging on about this. I found out how the pronunciation is, Lo Celso or something. Who I know nothing about him. Do you know much about him? And if so, could you let the audience know what position he plays? Is he any good? Is he going to take?
He plays the Eriksen role. Yeah, so he plays the Eriksen role. Plays for Real Betis, Argentinian international, highly touted, relatively young, and he's expected to provide big things in the future. So. Yeah, I think it could be a great asset for us, to be honest with you.
Your thoughts on Eriksen potentially moving, not just to Man U, but maybe moving full stop?
Sorry, pal, you cracked up there. I presume you're saying about Eriksen potentially moving to Man U.
Man U, and if not, moving full stop?
I don't think he's going to move to Man U. I think there's a greater chance he doesn't move full stop, but... If we get Lo Celso in, or Lo Celso, Eriksen will go somewhere else because he's got another 4 weeks in which he can do so.
So this, and it's Lo Celso. I have actually been informed that it is Lo Celso. Anyway, point being is that I was on the understanding that this Lo Celso actually had signed based on Notorious Nerds. Is it pretty much done then, I'm guessing?
It near enough is, yeah, but I don't believe a word of it until I see him in that Spurs shirt, because we've got history. Willian, for example.
Yes.
That was interesting.
As a Tottenham fan, of course, our resident Tottenham supporter, which three players? I'm going to make it a bit more difficult for you because you are a regular on the show. So I want a defender, a midfielder, and striker. We all know you're going to be. So let's go with 2 defenders and 1 midfielder that you would recommend for definite for game week 1.
Okay, that's interesting. Well, at the moment I've gone for Van Dijk and Trent in my team, but that's not out of a desire. That's more out of the pricing structure. Oh, no. So if I was to pick 2 defenders,
we're talking specifically from Tottenham, yeah.
Oh, my apologies. 2 defenders. You're talking about Spurs and defenders. Come on, Steve. What kind of questions there?
Well, we all know.
You've got to go for the only 2 safety options, and that's probably right now Vertonghen and Lloris.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Because they're the only 2 I think that are settled. But if Rose stays, then yeah, I think that could be an option. Like he's been one of our best players for the past 2 years, believe it or not. Especially from a defensive perspective, and he offers so much going forward. So if he stays, he's back on my radar. And Lloris is probably the next safest option. Midfield, Son from Game Week 3, but as a short-term punt, if you've not got Lucas Mora in your team, then I'd be surprised because, like I said, Dele Alli's currently injured, and it showed on last Sunday when we played Inter Milan. Kane went back to his old game of playing CDM, central defensive midfield, albeit he's a striker, and from which Mora profited quite a lot. He was the most kind of furthest forward player, so those would be my pick.
What are your thoughts then on Harry Kane if Dele, well, he's injured. So what are your thoughts on then Kane being an option then, with what you've just said being somebody that could potentially drop back?
Well, if we bring in these signings, then Kane's back on my radar, but I'm not convinced right now, only because I know how Spurs operate, that these deals definitely happen. But if we bring in Dybala or Lo Celso, or both, then yeah, this is what kind of makes me want to bring Kane in. Not just the fact that I'm going to the game, but these factors, I think, it could be a deadly, deadly attack, you know? So, yeah, I'll be trying all day a way to manufacture him into my squad.
Monkey,
if I might ask, Eva.
You carry on, my friend.
If you don't go with Kane, are you bringing in Mora in your team? Is that a guarantee or no?
Was that a question to me?
Yes.
Yeah, so Mora's already in my team, and if I brought Kane in, it would be to supplement him, not instead of. It would be double up.
Oh, really? Interesting.
And you were mentioning earlier on, Monkey Blast, about the benefits of the Discord, especially how people can talk to us about their respective teams and everything. And an idea that I'm going to be bringing to Jason is that I want to get correspondence of each. Well, it's going to be difficult to get a correspondence of each Premier League team, but certainly from the main teams, I'd like to hear people like FPL Booner, like our former co-host Dan, talking about their teams from a real-life perspective and how it will affect from an FPL point of view. So that's something that we're looking into, Monkey. I'm going to bring on FPL Tom. He's been waiting in the waiting room for a bit. So FPL Tom, we'll get your thoughts on the season ahead, what you're excited about. Welcome to the morning stream, my friend. You're there, Tom. I can hear you. Good morning.
Good morning, Steve.
Good morning, FPL Tom. Remind us, who do you support and which 3 players of that team would you recommend to a fantasy football manager?
3 players I'd recommend.
From your supported team.
Oh, from my supported team. Oh, that's pretty easy. I guess Salah, Robinson, and Trent. I guess. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So you'd actually not recommend Mane.
You cut out there, Steve. What was the question?
I was just saying, Tom. Would you then not advise to get Mane? Not specifically for game week 1, but.
Oh, he's got out. Sorry.
Oh, is it me? Because it all seems to be.
Yeah, definitely your end, Stephen.
Oh, okay.
Did you guys hear it? Or? Yep.
No, we didn't hear.
Try it one more time. Let's see.
Yeah, third time's a charm.
One more time. I'm just going to say one word: Mane. No,
I'd love to have him in. But,
I'm a big fan.
Everyone keeps telling me I'm a fool if I put him in at the start of the season. So.
But what are your thoughts on him across the whole of the season, though?
I think you can match it with Salah. He did last season. Why not? I think the front 3 spread the goals in Liverpool from how I've watched them, and I think Mane, like, people go, oh, it's only $1 million, but if you think about it, you could upgrade another defender, you could upgrade another midfielder. It's a good way to save money. It's a bit like De Bruyne, Sterling. Like, I guess De Bruyne is a bit more of a risk, I think, if you're going to do that comparison, but because we haven't seen De Bruyne come back from injury, but De Bruyne can quite easily hit 200 points if he wants.
How,
in my opinion, anyway.
How are you thinking Liverpool will get on next season? Because I'm predicting to win the league.
I'd love them to win the league, but I think it comes back to squad depth. Like, if you look at Man City have got so many midfield options. You've got De Bruyne, Sterling, Sane, Bernardo Silva, David Silva. You know, the list just goes on. They've got Mahrez. You know, they've got so many people that they can just put in, drop in, chop and change. Liverpool's core team basically has got to, you know, do what they did last season and just score every game. Robinson, Van Dijk, Trent have got to play almost. You know, if we lose, what happens if we lose 2 of our back 4 and it starts to look, you know, the squad depth starts to not look as good, in my opinion anyway. As much as I love Liverpool and I want them to win, but yeah, I just think it comes back to having such a huge team and squad depth and so much money. Like Man City have just got, you know, didn't they just buy another right back?
Cancelo.
Yeah, and will they spend on him like another 80 mil or something? I don't know, 60 I think. I can't remember.
You just mentioned Leroy Sané there. According to the Daily Mail, Leroy Sané's proposed move to Manchester to Bayern Munich has been complicated by a knee injury sustained by him, I'm assuming in the Community Shield, so maybe he could be staying at Man City after all. Palace have told Everton that they are not willing to accept anything less than 100 million for Zaha.
They've lost their heads. They really have.
Burnley have made a late bid to sign Danny Drinkwater on loan from Chelsea. That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting one.
What do you guys think about? Oh, yep.
Yeah, I think the problem. I think the problem is that Dyche doesn't. Every time we seem to bring in someone new, he doesn't play him. Just doesn't seem to trust them. I remember Patrick Bamford as the prime example of somebody that joined us from. He was on loan at Middlesbrough. Had one of the best. He was named Player of the Year at Middlesbrough. He was then loaned to us, and Dyche just didn't play him because of his attitude. And I think Dyche just is trying to build a bigger squad to have 2 players per position rather than disrupting the first team. So I don't even know if Danny Drinkwater would even get into the team, to be honest with you. So that's a bit of an odd one, especially with the amount of wages he's probably demanding as well. I don't think any much of that. But Tom, what are your thoughts on the season ahead?
Yeah, I'm very excited. I've probably the most excited I've been for FPL because I found this channel in this Discord, and now it's just my excitement and being able to talk to other people who are just passionate about FPL is pretty cool, that's for sure. Definitely makes your head spin a bit because everyone's got so many different ideas. Like everyone's like, oh, I'm going to do this and then I'm going to do that, and then you look at that team, you go, well, that team's like, you know, 5 at the back, and my team's, you know, got 5 in the midfield, and then you just start looking at different teams and you go, well, that could work, or I could work, but I guess it's all speculation until kickoff. So then the real fun then begins.
Yeah, I think next season is, we've already mentioned it, I think this Discord is really going to bring everything together, and the fact that our main focus is going to be on the Cash Mini League is, I've probably asked you before, but are you part of the Cash Mini League yet?
I'm not a part of it actually, but I probably should become part of it, but I don't think I've got much time left.
We've got until I think it's tonight or tomorrow, the deadline. It's tonight, is it? Right, okay.
9
So
PM as well.
I know Jason's going to be dealing with it, and so if you want to be part of it, you just sign up and see if you get accepted or not. But Tom, thank you for joining us.
No worries.
Cheers, dude. Speak to you soon, mate. There we are.
See you guys.
FPL Tom. Now, Boona's fallen in love with the fact that we've got a fellow Spurs fan in One Life Soccer TV live in the waiting room. We're going to get him on live right now. So, One Life Soccer TV will bring you on in a few seconds. But what I do want to say is... Are you right there, Boona?
Not really. What I've just seen on Sky Sports News. You remember Scott Carson?
Yes.
How is he having a medical at Manchester City?
Really?
What on earth is that about? Let me just get this right. Let me just make sure I'm actually reading this correctly.
Well, while Boona's looking into that, I'll do some admin, Boona. If you are watching the stream, and I know it's been going on for a very, very long time, we're approaching the 3-hour mark as ever. That's just the standard stream for myself, it seems. But anyway, please just hit that like button to show your support for the show, and it helps a lot. Also, if you are watching and you are enjoying what you're seeing and you haven't subscribed, surprised you aren't subscribed to this, because it is an absolute fantastic narrative that we're creating here, and you're just going to be part of the story throughout the whole season. So hit that subscribe button, and just like FBL Boona is trying to get, if we get to 1500, Jason said he may triple captain Kane. Who knows? But yes, FBL Boona, that news on Scott Carson to Man City.
Yeah, so that's correct. I've got a few things to break to you. So that's correct. He's having a medical for a loan deal, 2-year loan deal from Derby to Manchester City. Weird. Lukaku has agreed a deal with Inter for 73 million. United are currently in talks for striker Mario Mandzukic. Spurs agree fee for Fulham's Ryan Sessegnon, with midfielder Josh Onuma moving to Craven Cottage as part of the deal. West Ham have signed striker Ajeti. I presume he'll just be backup to Haller. Leicester have agreed a fee in the region of 18 million with Sampdoria for midfielder Dennis Praet. I believe from what I've read on Twitter, he'll be challenging Maddison and Tielemans, so it's an additional option in the midfield there. So, yeah, very interesting.
Monkey Blast, we spoke to you yesterday about Lukaku leaving. We don't need to worry about that, but what I do want to ask you is your thoughts on Mandzukic coming to United, and how do you feel about that and the possible impact on Rashford and Greenwood's minutes?
I think if anything, it might improve our set pieces, because we have one of the worst conversion from corners and set pieces. And Mandzukic, he's not going to get in behind you, so he's really a hold-up sort of striker, and he's very clinical, is what I've seen for the last few years. He doesn't get much chances, and he is a little bit old. I think he's definitely going to be the backup and brought on as a substitute, which might hurt Greenwood's chances. But Mandzukic, I haven't really seen him play a lot with Juventus, but when he has been decent. And the only real match that I can think about him is that Croatia-England World Cup semi-final, where he scored the winner. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see if it goes through. I think United might just pull the trigger on that just to get that extra squad depth up front, but we'll see.
So, One Life Soccer, you're a fellow Spurs fan, and I'm going to ask you one simple question when we get you live on air. So, One Life Soccer, you are live on Elite FPL Call-In this morning. Good morning. Need to unmute your mic, One Life Soccer.
Yeah.
He's now gone.
And he's gone.
No, we'll bring it back
He'll be
again.
back.
One Life Soccer, you are live on Elite FPL Call-In, my friend.
Good morning, all.
Good morning. We've just heard the breaking news that Ryan Sessegnon has signed for Tottenham. One question, how much do you think he'll be in FPL? And number two, is he an FPL asset to get?
Yeah, I think he'll be around the sort of 5.5 mark, like most of our defenders. I don't think you get him straight away because Danny Rose is still there, so you have to wait and see how Poch deals with the two of them. But once it settles down, he will definitely be a valuable asset.
FPL Boona was just rolling off some of the transfer news. There's no mentioning of Dybala there. Are you as pessimistic as Boona regarding Dybala, or are you actually optimistic that Dybala will eventually sign?
Now my whole household, we've got these silly smiles on our faces at the moment. You know, where I think Arsenal have had a great window, which has been annoying, and I think if Spurs can get Lo Celso over the line and somehow get Dybala over the line, then we are going to be very, very serious contenders this season.
That's actually a very good question. I mean, I've been asking people what they're looking forward to most season, but I'll ask you a more specific one. How do you think Spurs are going to get on this season? Do you think they will challenge that top two? I think they will.
Yeah, I think we're the third best team in the league. I don't think there's any doubt about that now as we stand. The gap between us and Liverpool and City has always been, I think, in the depth of the team. I think our starting 11 is just as good as their starting 11s, but they have greater depth. Once we get an injury, suspensions, we seem to fall away a bit. But yeah, if as I say, if we get those signings over the line, I'm very optimistic. We'll be closer. I mean, to say we'll win the league is a bit extravagant, but we'll definitely be closer.
Now, I've noticed your name for quite a long time with the Elite FPL podcast. Can you remember how long you've been watching this particular stream for?
Yeah, it's since Gameweek 14 last season.
Jesus, wow. So you must be fascinated with how myself and Jason have come to this set up to what it is now, from basically a mobile phone to, well, this, basically.
Exactly. Yeah, as I said, I think I spoke to you and Jason before, and I was saying this, that you two just remind me of me and my mates. You know, this is
Oh,
exactly
yes.
what we do. We love football. We love FPL. You know, we chat about it all the time. So when I came across your stream, it was just it felt like I was just sitting down listening to my mates, basically.
Yeah, how are you?
Steve-o?
Yes, Spooner.
Some advance on the Dybala front.
Talking of which, yep, go for it.
My concern was the fact that we'd agreed a deal with him, but if United couldn't afford his wages, how would we? But apparently we've somehow got that bit done. Now it all hinges on the player's image rights. That's the final step for us, and then it seems like it could be a goer. So watch this space.
One Life Soccer, straight away I'll ask you, Dybala looks like he's coming to Tottenham. How much is FPL going to price him at, and does he become an instant FPL asset for yourself to bring into your team?
In terms of pricing, I can't see how they price him less than 10 mil in terms of what he's done and who he is. You know, it's going to be, and that's what would make him difficult to bring him straight in, because now you're going to have. I'm struggling to get Kane in and try and keep Sterling and Salah. If you now add Dybala to that argument, it's just a minefield. It'll be very difficult. But yeah, I reckon 10 mil, that sort of region is where he's going to come in at.
And does he become a FPL asset for not just yourself but for anybody? A bit like Pepe. I've seen a couple of teams punting on Pepe. Is he worth the risk?
You see, Dybala changes our share. I don't know what Bruno thinks. Obviously, Poch is, you know, Poch seems to be favouring this new sort of diamond system. So I think we might be able to go for, a 4-4-2 with a 4 diamond in the middle and then 2 up front for the first time in a long time.
Who's Pepe? Who's Pepe?
Arsenal's Pepe. But what do you think? Do you think Poch will go 4-4-2, Bruno? Diamond in the middle?
Yeah, potentially. Although, I mean, Dybala can't play on the wing, can he? He's more of a cam, isn't he? Or is he a striker?
Cam Stort striker, isn't he?
Yeah.
Call him a 9.5.
I have no idea what Poch has got planned, if it happens.
Sorry to interject. Boa Rice, a question for you, Boona. Boa Rice, will Dybala be classified as a forward or a midfielder in the game?
Could be a forward, I think, given positions he's played. I reckon there's more of a chance him being a forward than there was Pepe being a forward at Arsenal.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. One Life Soccer, I've got to ask this. It's the simple question, really, of what are you most looking forward to this season when it comes to all things Elite FPL, and more importantly, for the season ahead?
Yeah, I want to see what direction the sort of Discord chat goes in. And what I mean by that is, as I say, I'm part of a very competitive group. I think I mentioned it before. We put £50 each into a group, and we start playing mind games with each other. We start telling each other we're bringing in Kane when we're really bringing in Wilson or whatever. You know, we really try and put each other off. I don't know if Discord's going to go that way, because at the moment everyone's trying to help each other, give advice. I don't know if people are going to all of a sudden start playing with people's minds and put a bit of trickery in there. I don't know. That's what I'm interested to see what direction that goes in.
Yeah, I mean, certainly next season we're going to have a lot more structure to the scheduling of the shows and everything. I mean, the general idea of the plan would be every Thursday we'd be doing our game week preview like we're doing tonight. Make sure you all get that in your calendar. Our game week 1 preview. We all know the history, how well that does. So get involved in that tonight. And what we want to do as well, for anybody listening that wants to participate tonight, we want to get one caller live on air with myself and Jason to represent, basically you guys, and predict along with us. So yeah, that'll be a bit of fun. And we're going to try and get a different caller on each game week to predict the scores and they'll be playing up against myself, Jason, and the history. But yes, we're going to have a bit more structure to it, so it'll be, like I said, Game Week 1 preview. We may be having a live reaction show on Saturday, so a live call-in show. Sunday, we're going to be having a live call-in show after the Sunday games. Monday will be our review of the mini-league. Tuesday will be another phone-in, probably.
Wow.
Yeah, it's weird.
This is going to be insane. This is insane, honestly. Wait till this catches on, Steve-O. Wait till this catches on. You've seen nothing so far in terms of how much reach you're going to get.
There's too much. I don't know about you guys, but there's just. I'll ask Monkey Blast. I just think that there's just so much to discuss, especially when it comes to when you finally got the game running and you've got those these mini leagues all set up. What do you think, Monkey Blast, on that?
Yeah, I think in terms of the people and the players in the leagues, it's really going to come down to talk that really guides the direction that everything goes in, because the people at the top want to stay at the top and want to be in first. So, I feel like they're going to be, putting the seeds in of doubt and hinting at certain players, which makes other people jump in on, and then they go in another direction. So we'll see. So far, I'm really happy that everybody's been in a positive and helpful manner. And the one thing that nobody factors in is, we're 1.3K of just subscribers of total pot of 4 million total players. So I think everybody should continue to help each other, because worst case, our little group can be that top 1.3K in the world, and hopefully more people join.
Well, that nicely links me into the Elite FPL community team. That's the one that's up on screen right now. Remember, guys, this is your team. You guys are representing the Elite FPL podcast. You'll be making all the decisions. Tonight will be the first decision about who you guys are going to be captaining this particular game. Jason will be putting up a poll in the Discord group, so you'll be able to get your votes in for who you want to captain this particular game week. Please don't anybody complain about decisions that are made. At the end of the day, it's down to you guys. It's got nothing to do with me and Jason. We advertise it enough for you guys to vote in, and it's there. It will be there in the Discord group for you to vote in for who to captain. And when it comes to transfers and everything, we will be, I suppose, maybe on a Sunday or a Monday, putting up a poll basically. Do you want to make a transfer? Again, it'll be just a simple yes or no, and then we can go through all various options throughout the live streams and everything. But it is going to be absolutely fascinating next season, I can assure you right now. One Life Soccer. Are there any more thought processes going through your mind? I mean, basically, I'll ask you one question. What do you think the score will be tomorrow night between Liverpool and Norwich?
Yeah, I've always said I think it's going to be a 4-0 Liverpool win. Norwich have a bad record at Anfield, and I think that will continue.
And how excited are you for the call in tomorrow evening, when it's going to be the first time that we're going to get people live reacting to what happened when Norwich?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to, because you've got a lot of people who've gone double Liverpool, triple Liverpool. So God forbid there's a Norwich goal. I think that's going to cause absolute mayhem, and then it'd be interesting to hear that pain on the phones.
we're not specifically doing rate my teams. I'm not going to be doing any of that. But I do want to ask you: are you pretty set on your team?
Yeah, I'm pretty set. I've gone. I'm normally a 3-5-2 guy, but I've tried 3-4-3 this season for the first time. I think it's best that I can best spread my money in a 3-4-3. So. Fingers crossed. I was gonna go. I was trying to think of a captain away from Salah, but I think there's no point taking a big risk game week 1. I think Salah is going to be the most popular captain. I believe he's going to score, so I'm just going to play safe with my captain and go Salah. But yeah, I'm quite happy with my score.
We'll end it on just make sure that you tune in or watching on the replay to the game week 1 predictions and see what the history says, my friend.
Sorry, I missed that. Sorry.
I was saying that make sure that you tune in tonight for the what the history suggests for the particular scores and everything, and then you'll find out exactly who to captain. That'll be all brilliant. Brilliant One Life Soccer. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers, dude. Thank you. Bye. There we have it. I think I'm going to call it a morning / an evening now. I think we've been going on for nearly, pretty much 3 hours, 10 minutes away from for 3 hours, to be honest with you. But Monkey Blast, before we let you go, are there any final thoughts moving forward with everything?
So I'm actually just having a quick look at the percentage of players, and I'm really surprised to find that Salah's only 40%, Sterling is only 30%, and Kane I see 30%. So over half the people don't think Salah's going to do anything in this first game week, and or 2/3 of the people think Sterling isn't going to do in this game week, which I'm finding very, very surprising. Because most people in our community and people in Fantasy Football Scouts or anybody else that are really discussing who they want to pick up, those two players are just literally part of every single team. So I'm very surprised.
Well, all I'll say is on that final note that it just plays into our hands, Monkey Blast. That's all I will say. Monkey Blast, really appreciate the fact that it's extremely early in the morning over in America, and thank you for being guest host for the past 3 hours, basically. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to being with you guys again.
Cheers, dude. There's Monkey Blast there all the way from America. FPL Boone, I'll just quickly ask, because you won't be able to join us tonight. By the way, congratulations on the anniversary. How many years has it been?
4.
4 years. There we are. Congratulations,
an
dude.
Eternity.
Brilliant. Obviously, you can't join us tonight for obvious reasons.
What time are you going live?
I'll be honest with you, I have no idea. I'm waiting on Jason. I'd like to think it'd be 6:30, but I genuinely don't have a clue, to be honest with you.
Okay.
But
No worries.
what are your predictions on tomorrow's night's game?
I'm going to go for a 3-0 Liverpool win. Salah with 1 goal, 1 assist. And the rest I don't really care about. Because Salah will be my captain. And if Trent gets an assist, then a Van Dijk goal would be nice. But, as long as Salah gets us off to a good start, I'll be happy with that.
FPL Boona, me. You'll find out tonight. Sorry, when you watch it on the replay.
Okay, cheers, Stephen.
FPL Boona, I'm not going to hold you up any longer. Thank you. And FPL Boona will be live pretty much all day in the Discord. You'll be able to chat with him, and along with all the other moderators and the various other characters that are part of this wonderful community that we're building at the moment. Just a quick question there from Ryan Sheeran there, Seishan, saying, what are your views on Van Dijk being 50% ownership? Should we be afraid of him exploding in game week 1? I don't personally play the game like that. I don't worry about percentage of ownership and everything. I just look at my own team, look at my rivals' teams. That's what I look at. I'm not interested in overall ranking, but I think the reason why he's 50% is because he's 0.5 cheaper than Trent and Robertson, and it's just an easy way to get into the Liverpool defence. Louis Patel making a point here about surely Arsenal have top 4 over Chelsea. Aubameyang versus Tammy Abraham, there's no contest. Completely agree with you. In fact, if I'm honest with you, I'm thinking of changing my my choice of 4th spot. I think I'm going to go with Arsenal. I'll speak to Jason to see if he's going to allow me to change that. I initially said Chelsea for top 4. I didn't actually explain why I said top 4. I just think that the experience that this team has got when it comes to getting into the top 4 places is paramount, and I think that there is going to be a big, real feel-good factor at Chelsea this season. Yes, they're going to miss Hazard. I'm not stupid. Can Pulisic replace him? Who knows? It's huge boots to fill. I think Chelsea are going to be a really interesting team to watch, and they're not idiots. They've got a lot of experience, and this is a defence that averagely, get about 16 clean sheets per season. So, but I think agreeing on what Louis just said then regarding Arsenal, I think that maybe Arsenal could get that 4th spot after all. Right then, guys, I'm calling it a morning. what I can say is that it's been absolutely amazing you guys joining me for this early morning stream. Again, it's you guys that, well, let's be honest here, are down in Australia and New Zealand. And just as I say this, the stream's about to go off. It's absolutely typical. Let's wait for it to go green. There we are, back on again. Again, I can only apologise for these issues happening right now. Surprise, surprise. Right. Yeah, there's been a few tech issues. I do want to speak to Jason about it. Again, I've already spoke to him about it, and quite simply put, it just appears that it's a Wi-Fi issue. But I don't understand why, because I've been doing this for weeks and weeks and weeks, and it's only been over the past 5 streams that this has been happening, and I don't know why. Hopefully we can put a stop to it, because it is very, very frustrating. I will admit there. Oi, oi, oi! Adrian Paul, I think your name is. Yep, and Adrian Poinch. Yeah, and bye. I'm going. But you can watch on the replay if you're wanting to. But I've got to get going, so I'm going to do some admin. Simply put, hit that like button if you've enjoyed the stream. It just shows your support as ever. Really grateful for you joining in. If you are not subscribed to us and you've enjoyed what you're seeing, it's only going to get better and better, so please just hit that subscribe button. Twitter is where we do most of our advertising, and we're more interactive on that. So at Elite FPL on Twitter. We are on Instagram. It's at Elite FPL, but we're not very active on that whatsoever, if I'm honest with you. But more importantly, it's that Discord. Get involved in that Discord group, and you'll be able to be part of this wonderful community that we're building. We've got people like FPL Booner in there, Daily Llama, and everybody else who is part of that wonderful community that make you guys feel welcome. So I'm going to end it there. I don't want this stream to cut anymore. So, well, more importantly, join us back tonight, myself and Jason. It's the official episode 1 of this season, where myself and Jason are going to be previewing Game Week 1. Let's see what the history says. I'm now going to go off and do my research regarding the history and various other things. So, cheers, guys.